Warrior Lore. Chapter 1756. The surroundings were misty, and the aura was ancient. The entire square was originally filled with geniuses, but the supreme battle had already ended. It was silent, and only Du Xiaofu was here. Du Xiaofu's hand seals were condensing, and ancient runes were condensing, sweeping into the void. Boom! The void above fluctuated, and divine light began to burst out. Runes and mysterious runes swept out, and a phantom began to appear. It was like a mirage, filled with light, and a light rain poured down. There was an ancient aura that spanned across time and space, permeating the void. Qi. Du Xiaofu raised his head and looked at the mirage-like void above. His figure was wrapped in golden light, and he turned into a golden light shadow, and then disappeared into the mirage-like void. Walala! The light rain poured down, and the void also disappeared. In the ancient land, many huge rocks were suspended above the void, and it was boundless and ancient. The ancient palace had broken walls, and demonic aura was billowing into the sky. Outside the broken walls, on two huge rocks, one on the left and one on the right, there were two figures sitting cross-legged. On the left was a black-haired man with his head slightly lowered. His body was shrouded in a faint black light, and his specific appearance couldn't be seen. On the right was a man shrouded in a strange robe, and his face couldn't be seen clearly. These two were none other than Jialo Juixi and the man who had fought with Du Yunlong, who claimed to be Mo Lingzi, and who had the thunder martial vein. Qi. Suddenly, almost at the same time, Jialo Juixi and Mo Lingzi opened their eyes. Lightning flashed in their eyes, and two vigorous auras shook the void as they looked at the void in front of them. In the eyes of the two, there was a purple-robed man quietly appearing in the void in front of them, descending into the ancient void. The purple-robed man stood in the void, and his face was resolute and handsome. His black hair fluttered, and for no reason, it caused the space to distort. There was a vast aura quietly descending at the same time. When they saw the purple-robed man, Jialo Juixi and Mo Lingzi stood up at the same time, and their eyes were filled with shock. "Why are you here?" Jialo Jumi was stunned. How could he not recognize that violet-robed young man? Back then, he had clearly seen Du Xiaofu not entering the Paragon tomb. Why would he appear here now? "There are some things that need to be resolved, so I came." Du Xiaofu spoke. His gaze swept past Jialo Jumi before landing on Mo Lingzi. Back then, he had already noticed the mysterious purple-robed figure. There was a strange aura on his body that was connected to the thunder martial vein. At this moment, Du Xiaofu could feel it even more, causing him to be puzzled. "Who are you?" Du Xiaofu asked Mo Lingzi. For some reason, he felt that the purple-robed figure seemed familiar. "I'm called Mo Lingzi." Mo Lingzi opened his mouth and slightly raised his head. Under the hood of his robe, only a pair of lightning eyes could be seen. The aura of a peak Nirvana realm true self surged from his body. Mo Lingzi, Du Xiaofu spoke softly, then looked towards the broken ancient palace. There was a demonic aura soaring into the sky, and a terrifying aura was surging. That was the aura of moksha. Coming to the Paragon tomb, Du Xiaofu came for moksha. His master, Xiahou Fenglei, was still in the hands of the devil religion. Du Xiaofu had never forgotten that. With moksha's position in the devil religion, Du Xiaofu believed that as long as he captured moksha, it wouldn't be difficult to get his master back. "You have to get past me first." Jialo Jumi sensed Du Xiaofu's intention. His voice was soft, and his black robe fluttered slightly. His long black hair draped behind his neck, and he had a great aura. For no reason, the surrounding space began to faintly distort. "I don't want to fight with you. Grandma is waiting for you to return." Du Xiaofu turned his head and looked at Jialo Jumi with some fluctuations in his eyes. Du Xiaofu knew the old lady's wishes and thoughts. The old lady had always hoped that one day, Jialo Jumi could return to the clan. "Grandma." In Jialo Jumi's eyes, a complicated fluctuation quietly flashed. Then, he stared at Du Xiaofu and said, "This is the matter of my golden-winged Great Rock clan. You are just a human. It's not your turn to interfere. In my foster father's heart, he also wishes for you to return. Go back, The entire clan wishes for you to return. Du Xiaofu continued, unmoved by Jialo Jumi's words. You really think of yourself as the young patriarch of the golden-winged Great Rock clan. Unfortunately, you are still just a human. My father is really old. Letting Jialo Jueyu become the young patriarch is better than you. At least he is a real golden-winged Great Rock. Jialo Jumi slowly raised his head. His eyebrows were like willows. On his face, his eyeballs were like jet-black agates. They were as black as the endless abyss at the end of the universe. However, his expression remained calm. I am a human, and also the young patriarch of the golden-winged Great Rock clan. This is not contradictory. Du Xiaofu was also very calm. He looked at Jialo Jumi and said, I want to find moksha. You lost to me in the past. Today, you can't stop me. As his voice fell, Du Xiaofu turned around. Golden light surged as he swept towards the broken palace. Intruder, die. The indifferent and calm voice seemed to have no fluctuations. In the next moment, there was an inexplicable aura that was terrifying. Emo Lingzi made his move. He stepped across the void from the floating boulder, accompanied by a terrifying purple lightning that swept out from his body. Rumble. In an instant, this side of the void flashed with lightning and thunder. The aura was murderous in all directions. The vast aura surged, and the sky and the void trembled because of it. Chila. Chila. A large expanse of purple thunderbolts swept out and blasted towards Du Xiaofu. Thunder martial vein. Du Xiaofu suddenly turned around, his eyes revealing shock. At this moment, Du Xiaofu clearly felt that Emo Lingzi was activating the martial vein in his body. It was actually the thunder martial vein of the Du family. It was exactly the same as the thunder martial vein in his body. No wonder he kept feeling a sense of familiarity. Chi-la-la, purple electric arcs fluctuated, and Du Xiaofu's body was immediately covered by the thunder martial vein, which directly swallowed the incoming purple lightning into his body. Chi-la. Emo Lingzi's figure soared into the sky. The void beneath his feet trembled. Amidst the lightning and thunder, he directly blasted a punch towards Du Xiaofu. Du Xiaofu raised his arm and similarly blasted a punch out. Boom! Purple electric arcs were vast and mighty, and lightning flashed. PFFF, Emo Lingzi spat out a mouthful of blood as his figure was sent flying. His eyes were filled with shock. The thunder martial vein in Du Xiaofu's body was far above his. To be able to suppress the martial vein in his body, Du Xiaofu's terrifying strength had also crushed him. Compared to before the opening of the Supreme Tomb, Du Xiaofu's cultivation had advanced by leaps and bounds. I'd like to see who you are. Du Xiaofu's figure pounced out and turned into a purple lightning. He stretched out his hand, and his 5 fingers slightly curled as a claw mark appeared in the void, grabbing towards Emo Lingzi's robe. Chila. Black energy surged, and Jialo Juime appeared. As soon as he appeared, he displayed the supreme beast ability of the golden-winged Pong clan. He punched Du Xiaofu's claw, aiming for Du Xiaofu's palm. Du Xiaofu's claw mark changed as golden light surged. His 5 fingers directly stretched out and turned into a palm print, directly clashing with Jialo Juime's fist. As the two of them clashed, the surrounding void boiled as floating boulders exploded. Dang dang. As the monstrous energy was released, Du Xiaofu's figure was like a boulder, while Jialo Juime's figure was directly sent flying. Gee. Just as Jialo Juime's figure was sent flying, a monstrous black and gold light suddenly swept out from his body. His body also suddenly expanded as he stabilized his retreat. At the same time, a bright dark golden light soared into the sky, covering it. In an instant, Jialo Juime's original body, which had turned into a dark golden winged rock, appeared. It was huge, with a wingspan of more than 1,000 feet, covering the sky with a flap of its wings. A terrifying pressure that blotted out the sky and covered the earth descended, causing the ancient void to tremble. This was Jialo Juime's original body, and it was quite different from before. A pair of pitch-black eyes, like a black hole, caused one's heart to palpitate, as if they could devour one's soul. His entire body emitted black lightning, and his aura was frightening. It was like 1,000,000 mountains were pressing down, causing one's heart to tremble, as if they were about to be crushed. The most terrifying thing was the black lightning on Jialujueme's body at this moment. It rushed out like a black light, turning into a black thunderbolt, causing arcs of lightning to spread in all directions around his huge body. In a short moment, the entire sky was suffused with waves of black lightning. The scene was extremely terrifying. Qila, without any hesitation, Jialujueme spread his wings and directly swept towards Du Xiaofu. Black lightning rippled in all directions, dazzling and blazing. Rumble. At this moment, lightning flashed above the void, and dark clouds rolled, exploding high up in the sky. Dozens of black lightning arcs spread out in all directions. The dense black lightning arcs covered the sky, drowning the world as if they could destroy everything. The Nirvana realm. Du Xiaofu was a little surprised. At this moment, Jialujueme was already at the Nirvana realm. He must have obtained great benefits in the Supreme Tomb, and the 9 underworld demonic thunder on his body was also different from before. Qila, but Du Xiaofu was not afraid. His figure directly passed through the black lightning. The thunder martial vein in his body seemed to be unafraid of all the spiritual thunder, and it was devouring the power of the 9 underworld demonic thunder. Jialujueme spread his wings and appeared, spitting out a black lightning with unparalleled power. It was like a demonic domain that covered the sky, and wherever it passed, the void turned into nothingness and then collapsed. Black lightning arcs as thick as an arm flashed in the void, causing one's heart to palpitate and soul to tremble, and one's hair to stand on end. Just the 9 underworld demonic thunder is not enough, Du Xiaofu said. He formed a hand seal, and the thunder martial veins surged. The purple lightning that covered the sky and earth was boundless, directly destroying the black lightning. He punched out, simple and direct, but incomparably domineering. Bang! Jialujueme hurriedly flapped his wings to counterattack, but Du Xiaofu's punch forced his huge body back, and the black lightning arcs dissipated. Boom! At this moment, a heavenly sound suddenly came from the void behind him. 6 divine rings appeared in the sky, and Imo Lingzi's figure appeared. There were 6 divine rings like divine flames in the sky. That was the symbol of the supreme Nirvana realm, descending with a vast momentum. Chapter 1757. Rumble. The void rumbled as runes surged. The Nirvana sovereign power, accompanied by the lightning martial vein, swept out like a mountain torrent. Endless rays of light erupted in the void, intertwining and boiling the void. This was a destructive force that swept towards Du Xiaofu. Such a vast might. The Nirvana sovereign power and the lightning martial vein intertwined, along with a billowing demonic aura. It could be said that for an existence like Imo Lingzi, it was difficult to find an opponent in the same realm. He had the power to contend against opponents above his realm. This was a terrifying existence. Unfortunately, Imo Lingzi's current opponent was Du Xiaofu. Du Xiaofu didn't even turn his head. He waved his hand and condensed a purple-gold thunder rock phantom. This purple-gold thunder rock phantom was evolved from the golden-winged rock's supreme beast energy and the lightning martial vein. It was simple and direct as it swept towards Imo Lingzi. The violet-gold lightning rock's silhouette flapped its wings as it pounced towards the sky, seeming as if it was capable of striking down the stars. Lightning flickered as it emitted a boundless radiance, and it crushed Imo Lingzi's 6 divine rings with a peerlessly vast might. Buffed! Imo Lingzi vomited a mouthful of blood this time as his body was directly sent flying, feathers of the true rock. But in this delay, Jialujume's pitch-black eyes flashed with a sharp black light. Dark golden light behind his huge, dark golden body overflowed into the sky. As runes circulated, a surge of pressure erupted. From that huge body, 36 dazzling feathers wrapped in dark golden light emerged. These were Jialujume's 36 feathers of the true rock. Originally, Jialujume had 27 feathers of the true rock. Later, he took away 9 feathers of the true rock and refined them over the years. 36 feathers of the true rock were far more powerful than 27 feathers of the true rock. Not to mention, at this moment, Jalojumi's Nirvana realm cultivation was even more terrifying. The feathers of the true rock were absolutely superior to the true dragon horn and true dragon claw of the dragons. Swish, 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 36 feathers wrapped in black and gold light flew out, as if they had turned into 36 battle spears. They caused the space to ripple and the wind to howl. The wind in the sky surged. The 36 feathered spears emitted dazzling lights that were like bolts of lightning as they tore through the sky and interweaved with each other, causing them to be extremely terrifying and all-conquering. 36 true rock feathers appeared along with a large illusory image of the golden-winged great rock. It was so powerful that it was shocking. It instantly flew towards Du Xiaofu. Facing the 36 true rock feathers, Du Xiaofu's eyes also twitched slightly. The purple-gold heavenly fault on his body was still asleep. However, Du Xiaofu remained fearless. With a shake of his arm, the image of the 8 trigrams gushed out from his palm and rapidly expanded. Ancient runes shot out and appeared in the void. Like a screen of light, they actually blocked the 36 spear-like feathers of the true Peng. They were all blocked, and even the feathers that had pierced through the void were trapped within. At this moment, Jalojumi's eyes were filled with shock. He secretly felt a chill run down his spine. His 36 true Peng feathers were enough to sweep away cultivators of the same level. Even Moksha did not dare to be careless. At this moment, Du Xiaofu actually imprisoned them, giving him an unfathomable feeling. There was no doubt that Du Xiaofu's cultivation base had risen to another level in the past few months. The 8 trigrams that stood upright like a screen of light emitted an ancient and dazzling light. There was a strange phenomenon in the sky that caused chaos in the void. It also directly imprisoned the 36 true Peng feathers, as if to forcibly take them away. Not good. Jalojumi felt fear. However, in the end, his 36 true Peng feathers were still completely imprisoned. No matter how hard he tried, it was as if he had lost contact with them. Whoosh! The 36 true Peng feathers were tightly imprisoned in the 8 trigrams. Then, they were directly taken back by Du Xiaofu. A purple arc of lightning surged out from his palm, bringing with it a destructive aura. In the end, everything disappeared. The 36 true Peng feathers also disappeared from Du Xiaofu's palm. Du Xiaofu used the purple thunder profound cauldron and directly took the 36 true Peng feathers into the cauldron to suppress them. Puffed! Jalojumi spat out blood. The 36 true Peng feathers were forcibly taken away. At this moment, he had actually completely lost contact with them. This completely shocked him. Du Xiaofu looked at Jalojumi and said, "You are no match for me. Go back to your clan. If you stay with the devil religion, you will make grandmother, foster father, and sister Kai Ling worry." "Human, what right do you have to say this to me? I just want to fight for everything I have. What wrong have I done?" Jalojumi opened his mouth. His black eyes stared at Du Xiaofu. His voice was filled with waves as he said, "Do you think you can really defeat me? Today, my demonic bones have already completely fused. I am no longer the same as before." Jalojumi's cold voice echoed in the sky. The huge, dark golden Peng body flapped its wings, and a dark demonic aura filled the sky. It was as if the demonic realm of the underworld had appeared, revealing the tragic scene of the world about to be destroyed. At this moment, on the surface of Jalojumi's huge body, there was no longer any golden color. It had completely turned into a dark and deep color, as if the demonic Peng had descended from the depths of the demonic realm. This was the secret bone in Jalojumi's body, which was also activated by the demonic bones in his body. At this moment, Jalojumi's huge body blotted out the sky. There was no fanciful movement, only the simplest and most domineering sweep. A terrifying aura suppressed the world. Woo-woo! At this moment, Jalojumi swept over, bringing with it the tragic scene of the world about to be destroyed. The illusory image changed like a dream, and ghosts cried and gods howled. The black and gold runes swept out like waves, and the demonic aura filled the sky. Back in the Golden Peng clan, Jalojumi had the demonic bones in his body, but he had not completely fused them. This was also what the old lady was most worried about. It was rumored that once someone with the demonic bones transformed into a demonic Peng, it would be a disaster for the world, and also for the Golden Pong clan. Xiaofu, if you meet Jumi in the future, help me persuade him. If he completely fuses with the demonic bones, you have to suppress him at the first moment, even if it means killing him. The old lady's words echoed in Du Xiaofu's ears. The old lady doted on Jialo Jumi so much that she could not let him go. But when she said those words in the end, it was enough to show how terrifying he would be once he transformed into a demonic Pong. You actually completely fused with the demonic bones. Du Xiaofu's eyes also rippled at this moment, and the look in his eyes was even more complicated. Jialo Jumi, who had completely fused with the demonic bones, now had a terrifying aura. It was not difficult for Du Xiaofu to feel that at the same level as Jialo Jumi, the heavenly wolf Lonely Sky Howl would definitely be at a disadvantage. The old lady was also worried about the demonic bones. If he transformed into a demonic Pong, it would be a disaster for the Golden Pong clan, and it would be a disaster for the world. So what if he has the demonic bones? Why can't he exist in this world? Is it just for those illusory rumors? If he can't be tolerated in the clan, in the world, then so what if I transform into a demonic Pong? Jialo Jumi hissed, and his voice was filled with a kind of indescribable helplessness and anger. At this moment, wherever the huge black demonic Pong passed, the void turned into a vacuum, revealing a pitch-black halo that swallowed everything in the world. This power was too terrifying, so terrifying that even Du Xiaofu, who was at the half-step nirvana realm, did not dare to be careless. Ancient runes suddenly rippled around Du Xiaofu's body, and then turned into an 8 trigrams pattern in the void around him. The 8 positions connected with each other, turning into a dazzling divine ring that spread out in all directions. Rumble. On the 8 trigrams pattern, mountains and lakes evolved. Wind, rain, thunder, and lightning alternated. The sun, moon, and stars changed, and the mountains and rivers moved horizontally. The 8 trigrams pattern was changing, and a vast pressure appeared from the void, descending upon the lightning stars and rolling flames. It was as if destruction had enveloped this part of the world. In an instant, the demonic Pong attacked, and the void within the 8 trigrams pattern surged, as if 2 worlds had collided together. Rumble. The entire void boiled, and heaven and earth were resonating. The void was vast and surging, and the dazzling runes were like the sea. Demonic aura overflowed, and stormy waves arose. In an instant, a large area of the void collapsed inch by inch under that terrifying power. Such a confrontation made one's soul tremble. Gee! At this moment, Jialo Jumi's demonic Pong body roared, piercing through the clouds and splitting rocks. It shook one's soul, and even the 8 trigrams pattern could not confine it. Demonic aura overflowed, and the demonic Pong struck the sky. Under that terrifying power, after Imo Lingzi got up, he had been watching from afar. At this moment, even he found it difficult to intervene. Boom! Suddenly, a trembling sound came from the damaged palace. A figure swept out from the monstrous demonic aura that surged into the sky and emerged from the void. It was a young man. His face was slightly raised, and it was as if his face was exquisitely carved. The young man's gaze immediately looked at Jialo Jumi and Du Xiaofu. At the same time, the demonic aura around him surged, and he directly rushed into the battlefield. With a wave of his hand, a fist rushed out, wrapped in a monstrous demonic aura, and directly blasted towards Du Xiaofu. Moksha! Du Xiaofu discovered the newcomer. It was Moksha. He rushed straight over, and his body was covered in demonic aura, and a terrifying aura swept out. Roar! The dragon roared and the elephant trumpeted. Du Xiaofu blasted out a punch, colliding with Moksha, who was rushing over. It was domineering and disdainful. This was the tyrannical fist Dao. Rumble. As the 2 circles collided, the muffled sound of energy enveloped the 8 trigrams pattern, and the terrifying energy swept out like a storm. Half-step reincarnation nirvana. As the 2 fists collided, Du Xiaofu's figure staggered back a little, and his eyes rippled again. At this moment, Du Xiaofu clearly sensed that Moksha's cultivation had also reached the half-step reincarnation realm. However, Moksha seemed to be even more shocked than Du Xiaofu, and his figure staggered back a dozen steps. Moksha had reached the half-step reincarnation nirvana realm. He originally thought that he could completely suppress Du Xiaofu, but he never expected that he would be at a disadvantage the moment he entered the battlefield. Gee, Moksha staggered back, and a demonic rock flapped its wings above his head, affecting the 8 trigrams patterned space. Its claw tore through the void, and the rock's chaos-crushing claw descended with supreme might and demonic aura. Chapter 1758. Du Xiaofu raised his head and was about to make a move. "Leave this rock to me." A domineering voice came from afar. A golden figure appeared in front of Du Xiaofu at lightning speed. It was a young man in golden clothes. His eyes glowed with golden light, emitting the aura of a king. In an instant, golden light shone everywhere, and his figure turned into a huge red-bone horse monkey. The person who came was none other than Little Demon Du. Who else could it be? Roar! Roar! Little Demon Du's red-bone horse monkey body howled. Waves of golden light suffused out from his enormous crystalline and translucent body, and it was like a terrifying lord had been born. The talisman markings that covered the sky surged like hazy radiance, and it was like the beginning of the world as it blasted towards the Devil Rock of the Jialo Palace. At this moment, Du Xiaoyao's aura was also at the peak of Nirvana realm. Jialo Jumi demonic rock pushed everything aside. He used the demonic bone and turned into a demonic rock, suppressing all directions. Demonic chi on his body turned into a storm that swept out. Bright and deep runes gathered like demonic lightning that pierced through the void, wanting to destroy Du Xiaoyao's redbone horse monkey body. Roar! Du Xiaoyao's redbone horse monkey body roared. Golden light burst out, peerless and unparalleled. Rumble! The two collided. The power was simply enough to destroy heaven and earth, destroying everything. Peak of Nirvana realm. Du Xiaofu narrowed his eyes. He felt that Du Xiaoyao's aura was also at the peak of Nirvana realm, not below Jialo Jumi demonic rock. With Du Xiaoyao's cultivation strength, Du Xiaofu didn't know what the result would be when facing Jialo Jumi's demonic rock body, but at least Du Xiaoyao wouldn't be at a disadvantage. Bang, bang, bang. The redbone horse monkey and the demonic rock fought. In an instant, they had already exchanged several blows. The surrounding ground exploded into fine powder, and the cracks on the ground continued to spread. Many boulders in the void shattered, and around the dilapidated ancient palace, the broken walls cracked one after another. "Let's continue." Moksha rushed over again. He wanted to fight against Du Xiaofu. The previous loss he suffered had become a barrier in his heart. Moksha soared through the air, resembling a devil lord. His aura was terrifying to the extreme, and in the depths of his eyes, a resplendent light flashed. Boom! At the same time, a mysterious ancient armor appeared in front of Moksha. Devil chi gushed forth from it as arcs of lightning danced about. Its might shook the 9 heavens. This was an absolute treasure that allowed his defense to be even stronger. Chi. But at this moment, 2 blazing bolts of purple lightning suddenly shot out from Du Xiaofu's eyes and shot into the sky as if they were real. Boom! At this moment, the sky shook violently. Purple thunderclouds gathered out of nowhere, and the terrifying might of lightning filled the sky. Du Xiaofu activated the lightning martial vein in his body with all his might. On the surface of his body, dazzling talisman runes flickered like purple arcs of lightning. A formless wave spread out like a ripple. When the formless wave spread out, thunderclouds rolled in the sky as lightning flashed and thunder rumbled. Without a doubt, the 2 opponents were fighting again. Although they didn't go all out, they went all out without holding back. At this moment, Du Xiaofu also released his half-step nirvana cultivation without holding back. "You are also at the half-step nirvana level." Moksha's voice was filled with shock and astonishment. In the battle in front of the Supreme Tomb, he was at the peak of the nirvana level, which was slightly higher than Du Xiaofu's. Originally, Moksha thought that after gaining enlightenment in the Supreme Tomb, his cultivation had improved by leaps and bounds. When he met Du Xiaofu again, he would definitely be able to suppress him. However, the current situation had exceeded Moksha's expectations. Du Xiaofu, who was in front of him, had actually stepped into the half-step to Nirvana stage just like him. But Moksha wasn't afraid. He was Moksha, and he had never been defeated. Even in front of the Supreme Tomb, he didn't get the soul-extinguishing Thunder Soul Seed, but he pushed Du Xiaofu out of the Supreme Tomb. In this way, he had never been defeated before. Boom! Moksha didn't hold back anymore. His hair was loose as he attacked Du Xiaofu with all his might, and his demonic aura was vast and mighty. At this moment, Moksha didn't know why Du Xiaofu entered the Supreme Tomb again. But when he was in seclusion to gain enlightenment, Du Xiaofu barged in like this. It was an insult to him, and it was also a barrier in his heart. He wanted to kill Du Xiaofu. Du Xiaofu was even more fearless. Purple lightning wrapped around him, and the 8 trigrams shrouded the void. Every move he made was domineering and disdainful. The two figures fought in the 8 trigrams void, and in a flash, they had exchanged dozens of blows. Rumble. One was the Demon King, the other was the Demon King. Their auras shook the heavens. The two of them had no opponents in their generation. Both of them were truly invincible. Boom! Suddenly, there was a trembling sound in the ancient void. Light bloomed and scattered. Above the void, a spatial crack appeared. Resplendent light shot out, and a strange and indescribable aura spread out. This was the Supreme Tomb's movement, and it wanted to push everyone out. The Supreme Tomb was about to truly close again, and all living beings couldn't stay inside. But Du Xiaofu and Moksha didn't care. They had already erupted into a battle, and the battle caused the space to rumble, as if it wanted to turn the world upside down. Bang! A forceful confrontation was on the verge of breaking out. In the time it took for a spark to fly off a piece of flint, after dozens of moves, there was a muffled sound in the air. Moksha's figure was once again forcefully sent flying. His face was pale, and his expression secretly changed. How can he be so strong? Moksha's eyes narrowed. He felt his fist go numb even through the armor. At the same cultivation level, Moksha finally realized how strong Du Xiaofu was. He actually suppressed him again and again. Rumble. In the distant void, Jialo Jueliao's huge demonic rock body and Du Xiaoyao's redbone horse monkey body were similarly intense. Jialo Jueliao's dark eyes had unknowingly started to fluctuate violently. Du Xiaoyao's strength shocked Jialo Jueliao. His 9 underworld demonic thunder couldn't do anything to the redbone horse monkey. Jialo Jueliao's eyes became more and more intense. Dark-like demonic chi surged and was released, as if it was carrying the 9 underworld demonic realm. It wanted to crush Du Xiaoyao's redbone horse monkey body. But at this moment, Du Xiaoyao was incomparably domineering. He didn't dodge, and there was no fanciful battle between him and Jialo Jueliao. It was the simplest and most domineering clash. As the two behemoths fought, a pitch-black semicircle of light appeared where they collided, annihilating everything. Rumble. Above Jialo Jueliao's huge demonic rock head, 7 divine rings suddenly rushed out, using the power of nirvana. The sound of Tao resounded, and waves of dark light and lightning surged. At this moment, with Jialo Jumi's huge demonic rock as the center, the sky was filled with lightning and thunder, exploding high up in the sky. It was as if a gap had opened up in the demonic domain, and an extremely terrifying power descended. Dense black lightning arcs covered the sky, wanting to drown the world and drown little demon dupe Nirvana of Profound. Du Xiaoyao's redbone horse monkey body was wrapped in multicolored light. The golden talisman patterns on the surface of his body evolved, communicating with the world. His aura was like the beginning of the world, the beginning of all things. Rumble. Suddenly, there was no divine ring in the air above Du Xiaoyao's head. Instead, there was an exceptionally huge vortex of divine flames that enveloped his body. A terrifying might rippled out, causing the surrounding mountains to rumble and crack, and the sky to change color. At this moment, the ancient space trembled, and the heavenly sound was endless, as if the world was about to be turned upside down. Your nirvana is still far away. Du Xiaoyao's redbone horse monkey raised his head and looked at Jialo Jueliao, who was charging at him. The aura of the peak of Nirvana realm was fully released, and his innate golden spirit eyes shone like bright golden lightning shooting into the sky. He directly punched out, turning into a five-fingered mountain peak that rushed out. The aura of the beginning of the world rippled through the world, causing the earth to tremble and the sky to shake. Rumble. Such a collision caused a series of thunderous explosions. Dark light and lightning covered the sky, and the world was about to be destroyed. Ka. It was unknown whether it was because the Supreme Tomb was already being pushed out, or because Du Xiaoyao's punch was too terrifying, but the cracks that were originally suspended in the void suddenly accelerated, and divine light permeated the entire Supreme Tomb. Rumble. The Supreme Tomb rumbled and was on the verge of collapse. Chi-la-la. Under this punch, Jialo Jueliao's huge demonic rock body was directly sent flying. His 7 divine rings were shattered, and he spat out blood continuously. The blood was dark gold and did not dissipate. At this moment, Jialo Jueliao's huge eyes were filled with shock. He found it hard to believe that his demonic rock body, coupled with the 9 underworld demonic thunder, was still heavily suppressed by the former. Ding. Du Xiaoyao's huge redbone horse monkey body also staggered a few steps back, and his golden spirit eyes were also filled with shock. The black, golden-winged rock had a terrifying demonic aura, and with the fusion of spiritual thunder, it was even stronger than Du Xiaoyao had imagined. It was an absolutely terrifying existence. In a one-on-one comparison, Du Xiaoyao believed that this black golden-winged rock was definitely much stronger than Jialo Jueyu. If they were on the same level, Du Xiaoyao thought that it would not be easy for him to suppress the demonic rock. However, at this moment, his cultivation was at the peak of Nirvana realm, and he was able to suppress the demonic rock that had just broken through. Chi-la-la. Suddenly, the ancient void shook, and above the void, a vast square appeared. That was the square in front of the Supreme Tomb. It was ancient and mottled, and clouds were surging around it. Instantly, a vast force that couldn't be stopped gushed out from the sky, and it swept out Du Xiaofu, Du Xiaoyao, Imo Sha, Jialo Juelia, and Imo Lingzi, causing them to be unable to control or resist it. In the square in front of the Supreme Tomb reappeared in the void. The ancient buildings were clearly visible, and the broken walls flashed. Light rain poured down, and in the fluctuation of the ancient aura, many figures were pushed out. Whoosh whoosh, one figure after another appeared in the void. It was Kong Sansi, Su Yangzi, Hung Luan, Imo Runan, Jin Qingchun, Du Xiaoman, and other familiar figures that had entered the Supreme Tomb. Chapter 1759. Hundreds of figures appeared. Redbone horse monkey, golden-winged rock. In the sky, Du Xiaoyao's redbone horse monkey and Jialo Juexiao's golden-winged rock were so huge that they immediately attracted the attention of all the supreme beings. Moksha and Du Xiaofu too. Moksha, with his demonic aura, and Du Xiaofu, with his 8 trigrams pattern, also attracted the attention of everyone. Back then, the Supreme Tomb opened during the battle between these 2 peak-level experts. Now, the Supreme Tomb was about to close because of the battle between these 2 peak-level experts as well. It's Juexiao. Jialo Kaling's beautiful eyes glowed with a complicated light. Juexiao has already fused with the demonic bone. Jialo Jueyu's eyes rippled. Continue. Du Xiaoyao's redbone horse monkey roared. He leaped across the sky and chased after Jialo Juexiao. Although Jialo Juexiao and Imo Peng were injured, they still held their heads high. Black lights surged in their eyes, and demonic lightning arcs flowed all over their bodies. They connected with the demonic rock's body, and a vast and unparalleled aura spread in all directions like a tide. They once again erupted to resist Du Xiaoyao. Fight! At the same time. In the air above Imo Sha's head, 10 divine rings that were like divine flames appeared in the air. Heavenly music resounded continuously in the air, causing the heavens and earth to rumble. It was as if countless heavenly drums were beating at the same time. A majestic aura and heavenly might descended. Moksha has become stronger again. His cultivation has improved by leaps and bounds. This vast aura shocked all the supreme beings present. They couldn't help but want to prostrate themselves. All the supreme beings who came out and didn't get killed in the Supreme Tomb had obtained great opportunities and benefits. They originally thought that when they reappeared, they would have the chance to shock the world. However, at this moment, most of the supreme beings present would no longer think so. Compared to Moksha, their improvements seemed to be a little incomparable. But in the distance, a little girl and a peerless woman in a green dress were staring at Du Xiaofu, Moksha, Du Xiaoyao, and Jialo Jumi. Their eyes shone with a divine light as ripples appeared in their hearts. Demonic palm. Moksha roared as devil chi danced in the air. It was as though a devil lord had come into being. Tens of thousands of layers of devil chi erupted forth. The pitch-black devil chi was like a burning devil flame as the energy undulated like a vast ocean. Runes surged as it crushed Du Xiaofu with all its strength. Come on. Du Xiaofu's eyes flashed with purple-gold lightning. Instead of retreating, he advanced. Even the 8 trigrams pattern in the air was retracted. Although the 8 trigrams pattern in the air could directly suppress Moksha, it also required a lot of attention and a lot of energy. It wasn't enough to completely suppress an existence like Moksha with the 8 trigrams pattern. Du Xiaofu wanted to fight Moksha head-on to test his true strength. Among his peers, Moksha was the best test stone. Boom! His figure was like a purple-gold rainbow as he flew across the sky. At the same time, a mass of energy covered Du Xiaofu's right palm and condensed into a handprint. It was 3 colors of gold, black and silver. It was crystal clear and full of runes. This crystal clear 3-colored handprint looked calm, but if one looked closely, they would discover that it was emitting a heart-palpitating wave that contained 3 types of martial arts. Du Xiaofu made his move. This was an attack formed by the superposition of the Shaoyang seal, Taiyin seal, and Shaoyin seal. It cut through the air and slammed towards Moksha's demonic palm. As fast as lightning, the 2 palms collided and exploded. Bam! The void exploded, and the entire mottled ancient square trembled as the earth and mountains shook. Then, the square cracked with a series of cracking sounds. Sand and pebbles flew. The space was chaotic, and an energy storm swept in all directions. The terrifying impact caused a black vacuum halo to appear in the void of the square. It was like a black hole that swallowed everything, and then it gradually disappeared. Sizzle. This confrontation of palms sent Moksha's figure flying again. The 10 divine rings above his head dimmed and were about to be extinguished. Gosh, Demon King Du Xiaofu is so strong. In the void around the square, the supreme sky prides were already dumbfounded. There was no doubt about Moksha's strength, but Du Xiaofu used his own strength to fight against Moksha's complete supreme sky prides and even suppressed him. In comparison, the difference between them was not small. Du Xiaofu did not enter the Supreme Tomb, but he must have obtained a great opportunity to suppress Moksha. Among those present, Kong Sansi, Hung Luan, Huang Linger, and the other super experts' expressions changed drastically. If I'm not wrong, both of them have reached the half-step rebirth nirvana realm. Zhou Xiaolua's beautiful eyes were filled with shock. Half-step rebirth nirvana realm. Hearing this, the surrounding supreme beings sucked in a breath of cold air. Their gazes trembled violently. Those 2 were already so powerful. Rumble. Suddenly, the entire space of the deity plane began to shake. The sky was filled with light fluctuations, and an indescribable ancient aura fluctuated. The space of the deity plane is closing, the crowd exclaimed. The entire space of the deity plane was fluctuating. It was rumored that this was the last time the space of the deity plane was opening. Du Xiaofu looked at the sky and squinted his eyes. He then looked at Moksha and fluctuations appeared in his eyes. It's time to end this, Du Xiaofu muttered to himself. At the same time, he moved horizontally across the void and pounced towards Moksha. Boundless demonic sea. Bang! The void collapsed. Moksha's armor was covered with electric arcs. Demonic aura surged and his eyes were terrifying. He threw out a punch with monstrous demonic aura and the strength of a complete supreme sky prides. The complete supreme nirvana realm is not a true complete supreme sky prides, Du Xiaofu said. At the same time, a divine ring appeared in the air around him. It was exceptionally large and resplendent, erupting with resplendent light. It was like the sun rising from the east, bringing with it all sorts of phenomena. At this moment, Du Xiaofu was enveloped by a divine ring and blended with it. It suddenly gave people a sacred and inviolable feeling. The surging aura was like a waterfall, surging and boiling. One divine ring, but it's different. What kind of nirvana is this? That aura is too vast. No legend has ever been left behind. It's enough to shock the world. When they saw the divine ring, everyone was stunned. However, that terrifying pressure made all the supreme sky prides present know that it was definitely a terrifying nirvana, an unprecedented nirvana. Roar! Roar! Du Xiaofu made his move. He raised his arm and punched out, bringing with it the roar of dragons and the trumpeting of elephants. Wind and thunder resounded in the void. This ancient world was rumbling because of it. Domineering saint might swept through the heavens and the earth, causing the void to undulate. At this moment, Du Xiaofu had also used all his strength and used the infinite nirvana realm. However, he had not fully activated the infinite nirvana realm. The true infinite nirvana realm was the combination of the 8 trigrams, the supreme beast energy of the golden-winged rock, the star ultimacy, and various other ultimacies. However, at this moment, Du Xiaofu had also used the infinite nirvana realm without a doubt. It was just that he was still holding back. At this moment, Du Xiaofu burst forth with his mighty saint aura, causing the faces of the supremes in the surrounding void to flush red. They were dumbfounded and dumbfounded. To think that such a domineering aura could be this strong. In the shock of many people, the two collided again with unparalleled force. A shocking explosion suddenly swept out, rumble. In an instant, the sky rumbled. The cries of ghosts and howls of gods resounded. There was also the rumbling of thunder. Strange phenomena appeared in the sky. There was also a monstrous demonic aura, as if it had rushed out from the demonic realm. It was extremely terrifying. At this moment, the confrontation between the two drowned the sky and the void, as if it wanted to destroy everything. Bang, bang, bang. The vast square and the surroundings suddenly exploded one after another. In such a collision, under the terrifying pressure released by Moksha and Du Xiaofu, some of the weaker sky prides in the square turned pale. Uft! Above the chaotic void, the 10 divine halos above Moksha's head began to crack. His figure flew backward, and his hair was disheveled. Dark red blood spurted out from his mouth, and his face turned pale. At this moment, Du Xiaofu's figure only swayed slightly. Then, he rushed out like a bolt of lightning. Rock soaring 10,000 miles, rippling carefree steps. At this moment, Du Xiaofu was unbelievably fast. He punched directly at Moksha. Du Xiaofu's simple punch contained a great force that was incomparably domineering and disdainful. Moksha, who was retreating, couldn't dodge in time. His face was solemn, and his eyes were cold. He gritted his teeth and punched out as well. Bang! Du Xiaofu's punch landed on Moksha's chest, and the ancient armor on his body cracked and caved in. Almost at the same time, Moksha's punch also landed on Du Xiaofu's chest. However, at this critical moment, Du Xiaofu's body flickered with light. A strange rune soared into the sky, and his aura surged and erupted with golden light. Boom! Just as Moksha's punch was about to land, the golden light around Du Xiaofu transformed into feather-like fragments that condensed into a golden armor that covered his entire body. Above the armor, golden light rippled. The feather-like fragments were like the golden feathers of the golden-winged rock. Layer upon layer, they were like feathers, but more like armor fragments. They formed a magnificent golden armor. Screech! When the golden armor appeared, the faint screech of a golden-winged rock could be heard from the armor. It pierced through the clouds and cracked rocks, and an incomparably domineering aura swept through the void. This was the first layer of the azure spirit armor that Du Xiaofu had cultivated. It was formed from the blood essence of the golden-winged rock. Bang! Moksha's punch also landed on the azure spirit armor at the same time. A muffled sound rang out, and demonic aura poured out in torrents. The vast aura collapsed. With such power, even an ordinary domain realm expert wouldn't dare to take it head-on. Chapter 1760. However, Du Xiaofu took it head-on. Golden light burst out from the azure spirit armor, and the faint sound of a rock could be heard. Moksha spat out blood, and his body was sent flying. The ancient armor in front of his chest caved in, and cracks appeared all around. However, Du Xiaofu's body only swayed slightly, and the azure spirit armor dimmed slightly. Then, it shone as brightly as before, completely unaffected. Moksha's punch was extremely powerful. During his battle with Du Xiaofu, Moksha's punch had directly shattered Du Xiaofu's chest, revealing a bloody hole so deep that the bone could be seen. However, at this moment, Du Xiaofu was completely unaffected. Although Du Xiaofu's cultivation was already at the same level as Moksha's, the azure spirit armor on his body was the most important. Oh my god, is that armor a treasure or a condensation of celestial qi? Its defense is off the charts. Some of the supreme martial artists present were extremely sharp, and they immediately realized that Du Xiaofu's armor was not ordinary. Its defense was extremely terrifying. Moksha staggered and stabilized himself, and his eyes were filled with shock. He stared at the strange armor on Du Xiaofu's body. Moksha had never seen such a defense before. Du Xiaofu smiled. He had just tested the defense of the azure spirit armor, and it did not disappoint him. Such a defense was enough to block any attack of the same level, and it was as good as a realm cultivator's defense. It was indeed abnormal, and it was indeed left behind by the ruler of the 3,000 greater worlds. Let's continue. His battle intent surged, and golden light shone from his back. Du Xiaofu activated the real rock golden wings, and together with the azure spirit armor, he seemed to have become a real rock in human form. He flapped his wings and broke through the air, and he instantly pounced in front of Moksha. Moksha's expression changed. That speed made it difficult for him to dodge. He raised his arms, and a pair of black and gold gloves appeared on his hands, like a spiritual armor covering his palms. Wong. The golden gloves let out the sound of wind and thunder. Lightning and demonic aura intertwined and collided with Du Xiaofu. At this moment, Du Xiaofu was covered in the azure spirit armor. Other than his eyes, everything else was covered under the armor. Golden light flowed, and he felt as if he was a real rock. The rock golden wings were rock's golden rock golden wings, and its aura, and it was truly connected with the flesh, blood, flesh, tendons, and bones rock and roxes. The rocks, the rock golden rock, the rock golden rock rocks, the rock, the rock, s-rock. Pong pong. In the time it takes for a spark to fly off a piece of flint, the two once again exchanged several moves. The sharp claws of the demonic temple's golden dagger axe gloves landed on Du Xiaofu's body and slid off his shoulder. Bang! Du Xiaofu's punch caused the surrounding space to surge and boil. At the same time, it landed on Moksha's chest and completely blasted apart the armor on his chest, revealing a bloody hole. It was so deep that bones could be seen and blood was flowing out. Moksha was knocked back again and spat out a mouthful of blood. Purple electric arcs rippled on his body, emitting crackling sounds. His injuries healed very quickly, and his body was immediately restored to perfect condition. However, the ancient armor on his body could not be healed immediately. Fight! Moksha was infuriated. He let out a loud roar as his devil chi filled the sky. It was as if he had activated a special type of martial vein. Suddenly, numerous devil shadows appeared in the void around him. The cries of ghosts and howls of gods could be heard. It was as if they had come out from the devil domain and rushed towards Du Xiaofu. Fight! Du Xiaofu's battle intent surged as he flapped his wings, shattering the demonic shadows one after another. He was like a human-shaped Pong as he charged towards Moksha. The two of them continued to attack each other as they fought crazily. Gee, Ao! The roar of the Pong resounded as Du Xiaoyao roared. The huge black golden Pong blotted out the sky as blood flowed out of its mouth. It was being suppressed by Du Xiaoyao. It seems like Moksha is no match for him. I didn't expect the Demon King, Du Xiaofu, to be so strong. That golden wing Pong seems to be called Jialo Juliao. I didn't expect him to be so strong. What kind of nirvana is Du Xiaoyao? It's so terrifying. Such a terrifying battle caused the supreme talents around to discuss animatedly. At this moment, the four people in the battle were all standing at the peak of their generation, or even the same realm. They could look down on heroes and defeat opponents of the same level. Such four people made the group of supreme talents sigh. If these four people were in the ancient times, they would definitely be able to compete with the legendary ancient supreme talents. Chila. In the chaotic void, Moksha's back was slashed by Du Xiaofu's golden ping's wings. The wings cut through the void and cut through the armor. Deep wounds were revealed as blood spurted out. Roar. Du Xiaofu didn't stop. Suddenly, a loud roar came out from his mouth. It was like the cry of a pung piercing through the clouds and splitting rocks. It was also like the cry of a dragon and the cry of a divine elephant. The light in his eyes was like two bolts of purple golden lightning that rushed out, piercing through the void and shooting towards the heavens. Moksha's shoulder was hit by the fist once again. Endless bright electric arcs and mysterious runes erupted. The terrifying Xin-Chi fluctuation was like a vast ocean. It was incomparably violent, accompanied by a large amount of blood mist. The ancient armor was shattered, and the demonic aura wreaked havoc as blood dripped down. Demon King, Du Xiaofu is too strong. Moksha was suppressed by Du Xiaofu again and again. Such an unparalleled battle made people dumbfounded. There's still one more. Suddenly, a little girl stepped out from the corner of the crowd. The gaze in her golden eyes was locked onto a strange purple-robed figure. Emo Lingzi, who was watching the battle in shock, suddenly felt that someone was staring at him. He abruptly raised his head and looked over. When he saw a little girl, his gaze was somewhat astonished. Someone from the devil religion? Come up and accept your death. Little Xingxing stepped out and looked at Emo Lingzi. Her little hand slightly waved forward, not putting Emo Lingzi in her eyes. Emo Lingzi had seen little Xingxing in action before. Only his eyes that were exposed on his face were flickering with electric arcs. Can't you hear me? Come up and accept your death. Little Xingxing didn't give up as her little body stood proudly. Oomph! Emo Lingzi let out a deep snort that sounded like muffled thunder. In an instant, blazing purple lightning covered his entire body, as if a purple sun was rising. At this moment, countless dazzling lightning runes gushed out. The terrifying might of lightning filled the horizon as countless lightning rays pierced through the space. An aura that made one's soul palpitate suddenly rippled and spread out in this region, and it was still spreading out towards the distance. At the same time, there was billowing demonic chi, accompanied by the cries of ghosts and howls of gods. This martial vein seems to be extremely similar to the Demon King, Du Xiaofu, and Du Yunlong. When Emo Lingzi activated his martial vein, it immediately caused many exclamations. In the crowd, a handsome and resolute middle-aged man looked at Emo Lingzi with purple electric arcs in his eyes as he revealed a surprised expression. Kill! Emo Lingzi charged out with electric arcs rippling around his body. He was powerful and awe-inspiring. 6 divine rings appeared above his head as Nirvana sovereign power surged. Although Emo Lingzi wasn't as strong as Jialo Juixi and Moksha, he was still in existence at the pinnacle of his generation, enough to sweep through those in the same realm. Boom! A demonic lightning seal gathered. The seal contained billowing demonic chi as if there was a demonic shadow in the sky. Accompanied by the rolling purple lightning, it was like a sun shining in the sky. Countless lightning bolts soared into the sky as the purple lightning filled the sky. This demonic lightning seal crushed towards little Xingxing. A terrifying killing aura instantly caused the sky to rumble. Cries of ghosts and howls of gods resounded as a dense aura of destruction filled the air. This terrifying power caused the supreme talents in the surroundings to start trembling all over. Many people present also gasped for breath for little Xingxing. Chapter 1761. Too weak. Little Xingxing lifted his head. He looked at the frightening lightning devil seal that came crashing down. However, he remained unmoved. Little Xingxing's small body did not pull back in front of everyone's shocked eyes after his words sounded. Instead, he moved forward. He directly traversed the empty space and walked towards the frightening lightning devil seal. Crossing the void, little Xingxing advanced instead of retreating. He didn't put up any defense and allowed the lightning demonic seal to land on his body, causing the surrounding void to explode. Rumble. The space exploded, the runes shattered, and the demonic aura wreaked havoc as the destructive force swept out. Everyone's eyes trembled as they were worried about that tiny figure. Chi. Suddenly, the destructive force of the lightning demonic seal exploded, and that tiny figure appeared before Mo Lingzi without any injuries. His tiny fist was wrapped in faint golden flames as it lightly landed on Mo Lingzi's chest. Bang, bang, bang. But at this instant, it caused a chain reaction. The 6 divine rings above Mo Lingzi's head shattered, and an explosion resounded from his body. His body cracked, and the purple lightning dissipated. Blood splashed, and his body flew away like a kite with its string cut, unable to withstand a single blow. Gulp, gulp. When this scene appeared, everyone's hair stood on end as they swallowed their saliva. Rumble. The heavenly sound was endless, as if the heavenly drums were ringing. The heavens and earth trembled, and the firmament trembled. The Jialo Absolute Panacea Mo Pong and Du Xiaoyao Redbone Horse Monkey fiercely collided as runes blossomed and demonic aura filled the sky. Rumble. The entire divine domain began to tremble as cracks began to appear in the sky as a rain of light poured down. The void was filled with ancient runes. They circled around all the foreign living beings, forming a huge binding force that tried to push them out. The divine domain is about to be completely closed. All the sovereigns exclaimed in shock as the divine domain was about to be completely closed. In an ancient canyon, in the Lightning Mountain Range, Awu, a large number of ancient demonic beasts had gathered. They were all demonic beasts at the beast region realm and above, and they gave off extremely ferocious auras. Thunder Eagle King, Mieming King, Emotion Xiao, Ewuming, and the others raised their heads and looked at the rain of light in the sky. The divine domain is about to close. Rumble. On the Qianhuang mainland, the space of the divine domain was trembling. Divine light burst forth, and a rain of light poured down. It was as if something was being activated. An indescribably ancient and vast power engulfed the area, emitting a dazzling light that intimidated the world. In the air, on the mountain peaks, many aged figures and hidden experts appeared. They opened their eyes and waited. The space of the divine dominion is about to close, and they will be pushed out, bringing out countless opportunities and inheritances. The various great powers and sects were all looking forward to it. They were waiting for their disciples to walk out and bring with them great opportunities. Once that little bastard comes out, I'll think of a way to kill him. I'll eliminate him by the roots, even if I have to pay the price. On the misty mountain peak, Li Chunfa, Long Tongue, Gongsun Hua, and the others gritted their teeth and transmitted their voices. Legalism, dragons, and the younger generation of the school of vertical and horizontal had almost all died. Many of the older generation experts had also been killed in the divine dominion. These 3 great families had never been humiliated like this since ancient times. At this moment, Du Xiaofu had hurt their bones and their fortunes. Even they themselves had been severely injured. How could they not be angry and resentful? Be careful of Long Ting, Li Chunfa, Gongsun Hua, and the others. The old lady spoke. She discussed with Bing Imo, Old Man Di Pai, and Old Monster Xing Han from the school of Yinyang. The demonic star descends. In the void of the divine dominion, Moksha's body was already drenched in blood. The ancient armor on his body was shattered, and the surrounding demonic chi gathered as if he had summoned many demonic stars. They crushed the void and formed a vast space of demonic stars. The scene was terrifying, and it enveloped Du Xiaofu. Under such terrifying pressure, even an ordinary domain realm cultivator would be directly crushed to death if they were to barge in. Great rock strikes the sky. Du Xiaofu was fearless. The golden wings of the great rock on his back spread out, as if they were soaring into the 9 heavens. Golden light and mysterious runes erupted, shattering the many demonic stars. He crossed the void, and in an instant, his fingers swept out and filled the bloody hole in Moksha's abdomen. It's too terrifying. No one in the same generation can be a match for the 2 of them. All the supreme geniuses were shaken. A battle between a devil monarch and a devil king was like two gigantic mountains crushing down on their hearts. All of them were proud and arrogant. They were born to be supreme experts, dragons and phoenixes among men. But now, even powerful existences like them were suffocating from the invisible crushing force. Compared to the demon monarch and the demon king, their innate talents were not worth mentioning. Moksha kept vomiting blood, and his eyes became deeper and darker. Many beast energy shadows gathered around him, and in the midst of roars, they pounced towards Du Xiaofu. Little Daoist. Du Xiaofu was fearless. He was like a human-shaped great rock, peerless and ferocious. He destroyed all the beast energy and blasted the void. Purple gold lightning surged, and the supreme beast energy of the great rock surged. Since you like beast energy, I'll fulfill your wish. Du Xiaofu shouted. The azure spirit armor and the great rock wings were like a tiger that had grown wings. He was fearless. Roar. As the hand seals formed, Du Xiaofu activated the beast energy. In an instant, in the midst of roars, countless ferocious demonic beast shadows swept out, and rays of light shrouded Moksha. Roar. Hundreds of beasts roared, and ferocious birds flapped their wings. Ferocious beasts soared through the sky, and the energy swept out like a vast ocean. Bang, bang. Moksha tried his best to block, but he was still pushed back. He vomited blood again, and even the bones in his body cracked. He was seriously injured. Moksha is no match for him. The Demon King, Du Xiaofu's growth in these few months is too terrifying. Everyone was flabbergasted and dumbstruck. This kind of confrontation caused their blood to boil. Roar. Du Xiaofu flapped his wings, and thunder surged around his body. He was like a great rock descending from the 9 heavens. He opened his mouth and let out a roar. The roar of dragons and the trumpeting of divine elephants rolled out endlessly, shaking the void. This was Du Xiaofu's domineering Tao. The sound waves swept out like a tsunami, and the entire void rumbled. Countless roars echoed in the sky, and it was like a chain of thunder from the 9 heavens that resounded in the world. Amidst this roar, there was an all-pervasive sound wave that entered one's ears, and it transformed into a strange and overbearing martial Tao that caused the profound energy in one's body to be unable to help but seethe uncontrollably. The divine gates were on the verge of exploding, and the soul core was on the verge of exploding. Puff, puff. Moksha, who was caught off guard, was seriously injured again. He coughed out blood continuously, and his powerful body was more and more damaged. Blood flowed everywhere, and his armor was shattered. He looked very miserable. Too weak. This kind of strength isn't even enough to scratch an itch. Little Xingxing said as she looked at Emo Lingzi, who was sent flying. She didn't care about him at all. That kind of terrifying destructive power was completely useless against her. Chi. In the next instant, little Xingxing's figure appeared in the sky, and the space around her seemed to be fluctuating. It seemed slow, but she appeared in front of Emo Lingzi in an instant. She stretched out her little hand, and golden flames rose. Little Xingxing, have mercy. As Du Tingshuan's voice faded, his figure appeared beside little Xingxing, blocking little Xingxing's attack. He looked at Emo Lingzi and asked, "You possess the Du family's martial vein. Who exactly are you?" Chapter 1762. Emo Lingzi revealed his eyes and stared at Du Tingxian. He said in a sinister voice, "You have no right to know. Take off your hood and you'll know." Du Tingshuan's gaze sharpened. Lightning flickered in his eyes, and his aura surged out from his body. Rumble. In the space of the divine dominion, a huge, repulsive force surged out and enveloped the entire space. In an instant, everyone was pushed out by the huge restraining force and couldn't help but be pushed out. Du Tingxian was about to make a move when the surrounding space trembled. Under the vast aura, any living being would be affected. Du Xiaofu and Moksha, and Du Xiaoyao and Jialo Juelyao's battle were also directly affected. Du Xiaofu, who was about to continue attacking Moksha, was also affected. His vast aura collapsed and imprisoned everything. All the living beings in the space of the divine dominion were also pushed out and enveloped by the rain of light. A spatial crack appeared in the void. All the figures were enveloped by the rain of light and swept up into the sky. In an instant, figures rose from the entire space of the divine dominion and swept up into the spatial crack. Rumble. On the Chunhuang mainland, the space of the divine dominion was filled with rain of light. Figures appeared from the exit of the divine dominion, as if they had torn the space apart and swept out one after another. They're out. Someone's out. When those figures appeared, countless eyes on the Chunhuang mainland were filled with anticipation. Those were the descendants of the various sects and clans. They were looking forward to them obtaining a huge opportunity to revitalize their sections. They're out. Pay attention to Du Xiaofu. Don't let him escape. On the misty mountain peak, Li Chunfa, Long Ting, Gong Sunhua, and the others had bright eyes, but their faces were cold. Seeing that the supremes of the various sects and clans were about to come out with a huge opportunity, while the younger generation supremes of the 3 sects and clans had already been wiped out, and even the older generation experts who went in later had lost many of their members. One could imagine how Li Chunfa and the others felt at this moment. Gee! Roar. Suddenly, just as those figures appeared, the cries of rocks resounded, and the roars of beasts were like thunder. A huge black demonic rock squeezed out of the space of the god domain. Its huge body covered many creatures in the surroundings and shook them away. A golden redbone horse monkey soared through the sky, domineering and arrogant. It was actually chasing after the demonic rock. Whoosh! Moksha also flew towards it. After he left the divine domain, he rapidly flew away. Moksha, where are you going? Du Xiaofu didn't give up. He also flew out from the divine domain and chased after Moksha. His master, Xiahou Fenglei, was still in the hands of the devil religion. He had to capture this Moksha. Moksha's face was pale and his aura was very weak. His physical body was even more miserable. Although purple electric arcs flowed and his physical body was constantly recovering, Du Xiaofu's injuries were too severe. Many parts of his body were still bleeding. Originally, Moksha thought that after he advanced by leaps and bounds, Du Xiaofu wouldn't even be able to enter the Supreme Tomb to fight for that huge opportunity. In his heart, he felt that Du Xiaofu was no longer his opponent. However, at this moment, Moksha suddenly understood. Everything was beyond his imagination. Du Xiaofu was already so powerful that he suppressed him. He was no longer his opponent. His immortal Xin body hadn't reached the major completion stage. If this continued, even the immortal Xin body wouldn't be able to protect him. It's Du Xiaoyao. It's a golden-winged rock with monstrous demonic aura. That's Du Xiaofu. He came out and is chasing after someone. In an instant, the Chunhuang mainland was in an uproar. Many eyes suddenly twitched. It's that little bastard who came out. Li Chunfa, Qin Tianshi, Long Ting, Gong Sunhua, and the others suddenly emitted a cold light. In an instant, murderous intent surged. Let's wait first. With Jalo Mola and his group here, we won't be able to take advantage of them. That Du Xiaofu is making his move. Let's wait and see first, Li Chunfa said in a low voice. It's Zhu Qi. He has fused with the demonic bone. Jalo Zhu Qi has turned into a demonic rock. The golden-winged rock experts present looked at the huge demonic rock in the void. Their expressions changed, and rays of golden light rippled. Watch out for Xiaofu. Zhu Qi has already fused with the demonic bone. We can't let him escape. On the old lady's weathered face, golden light surged in her eyes. Her hunched body trembled with a complicated expression. Moksha, you can't escape. In an instant, Du Xiaofu flew out. With his current speed and Moksha's injuries, he immediately blocked Moksha's path. With a wave of his hand, purple-gold electric arcs swept out and swept towards Moksha. This guy is chasing after Moksha. The supreme geniuses who came out from the god domain were all shocked. Even a powerful existence like Emosha was being hunted down by Du Xiaofu right now. Everyone couldn't help but be shocked. For the people in the outside world, they might not be too clear about Moksha's strength. However, to the supreme beings and heavenly geniuses in the divine domain, it was clear that this was a terrifying existence at the peak of the great supreme nirvana realm. It was enough to show disdain for the past and present, and it was difficult to find an opponent in the same generation who could compete against it. But now, Moksha was being chased by Du Xiaofu in just a short period of time in the Supreme Tomb. In an instant, Moksha jumped, but he couldn't avoid Du Xiaofu. His body was engulfed by purple-gold electric arcs, and he staggered forward. Sparks flew out, and his hair stood on end. He was in a very sorry state. "You can't escape," Du Xiaofu roared. His golden rock wings flapped, and his speed was incomparably fast. A palm imprint blasted out, the Xiaoyang imprint. Feeling the terrifying fluctuation behind him, Moksha turned around in shock. The gloves on his hand surged with monstrous demonic qi and collided with Du Xiaofu's Xiaoyang seal. Puff! This collision shook the void. Moksha's body shook violently, and blood spurted out from his mouth again. "You can't escape today." Du Xiaofu looked straight at Moksha. His eyes were like a sea of thunder. "Do you really think you can do anything to me? You can't do anything to me." Moksha looked coldly at Du Xiaofu. Demonic qi gushed out from his eyes as he gritted his teeth. When his voice fell, a purple electric arc suddenly spun in his right palm. Boom! Following the appearance of this purple lightning arc, a strange aura suddenly spread throughout the entire void. Almost at the same time, the space in the surroundings began to tremble. In that instant, a feeling of extreme danger began to spread in the air. The purple electric arc suddenly spiraled in the void in front of Moksha. In this short moment, a thick purple thundercloud suddenly surged in this space. Whooshed within the purple thundercloud, bright electric arcs filled the air, and a huge aura that made one's heart palpitate swept out. At this moment, all the living beings present felt their hearts palpitating. Purple lightning profound cauldron. Feeling this aura, Du Xiaofu's eyes suddenly twitched. The purple lightning profound cauldron in his god's watchtower suddenly buzzed, as if it wanted to break out of his body. Boom! The void trembled. In the void in front of Moksha, purple electric arcs shone brightly, and then turned into a huge, three-legged cauldron that was hundreds of meters in size. Mysterious lightning runes spread across it, and it was exactly the same as the purple lightning profound cauldron in Du Xiaofu's god's watchtower. Divine lightning cauldron. That's the divine lightning cauldron. At this moment, countless experts in the surrounding void looked at the three-legged cauldron, and their faces changed. The old figures floating in the void, the powerful existences entrenched on the mountain peaks, suddenly exuded a shocking aura, and their eyes were filled with shock. Chapter 1763. Divine Lightning Cauldron. Li Chenfa of the Nine Great Families, Qin Tianshi, Old Man Daipai, IC Inc., Old Monster Xing Hun, and the Dragons, as well as the other top experts from the various major forces, all had a change in expression. Especially to the people of the Nine Great Families, the Divine Lightning Cauldron had a special meaning. With the 9 cauldrons gathered, they could command the 9 great families, and only then could the 9 great families truly appear. Little Xingxing and Du Tingxian were about to make a move against Emo Lingzi when they saw the Divine Lightning Cauldron appear. The terrifying pressure rippled through the void, vast and mighty, and their gazes were fixed on it. In an instant, everyone's gaze fell on the Divine Lightning Cauldron that filled the sky with purple lightning arcs. Zizi, the huge cauldron spun, distorting the surrounding space. The cauldron's mouth was like a black hole, and the surrounding purple lightning clouds were surging endlessly. The entire sky changed color, and the clouds were densely packed together. Rumble! Streaks of lightning filled the heart-palpitating lightning, and the entire sky seemed to have turned into the darkness before dawn. The terrifying purple lightning enveloped the heavens and earth, and a monstrous aura of destruction spread out from the purple lightning clouds, rippling through the Chan Huang mainland. Terrifying destructive energy fluctuations spread out from the purple lightning, and the surrounding space, along with the ZZZZ, began to crack inch by inch. Too terrifying. The Divine Lightning Cauldron's power is too strong. Under the terrifying destructive might of the lightning, all the living beings present were stunned, and they all felt a chill spreading from the bottom of their hearts. In front of the shocking might of the lightning, their souls trembled. "You can't do anything to me." Moksha was in the sky, shrouded in purple lightning arcs of destruction. That was the purple-gold profound lightning, and the injuries on his body were rapidly recovering under the lightning arcs. In an instant, the aura on his body seemed to have recovered by quite a bit. Moksha's eyes were filled with lightning arcs as he stared at Du Xiaofu. When his voice fell, the purple lightning clouds in the sky surged, and the lightning arcs converged into purple lightning, suddenly rushing out, and the dazzling purple lightning arcs poured down. Rumble. In a single moment, countless bolts of purple lightning fell from the sky, enveloping the surrounding space. They swept towards Du Xiaofu with unparalleled destructive power. It's too terrifying. No one below the Overlord region can resist it. Old monster Xing Hun, Bing Imo, and the others trembled as they sucked in a breath of cold air for Du Xiaofu. That kind of destructive lightning energy made one's hair stand on end and their hair stand on end. All the living beings present sucked in a breath of cold air for Du Xiaofu. However, for the old lady, Zhen Xingchun, Little Xingxing, Du Yunlong, Yi Piaoling, Jialo Jueyu, and a few others, although they were shocked, they were not too worried about Du Xiaofu. Only they knew that Du Xiaofu also had a divine lightning cauldron. Rumble. It was too fast. The purple lightning bolts that blotted out the sky descended, and the entire space was filled with sharp sonic booms. Wherever the purple lightning bolts passed, the space collapsed and fell around Du Xiaofu. Many purple lightning bolts also struck Du Xiaofu. Goo. Countless people sucked in a breath of cold air for Du Xiaofu. The purple lightning bolts that could severely injure a domain realm cultivator even if they didn't die fell from the sky. Would Du Xiaofu be able to resist them? Everyone watched as the purple lightning bolts fell. Purple lightning arcs erupted from the strange rock domain-like armor around Du Xiaofu and miraculously engulfed the purple lightning bolts. When the purple lightning bolts landed on Du Xiaofu, it was like a storm falling on the surface of a lake. Although they caused ripples, they were also swallowed up. Goo. This scene made the surrounding people's throats dry up as they sucked in a breath of cold air. Oh my God! Countless faces were stupefied and tongue-tied, dumbfounded. Du Xiaofu stood in the sky, unmoved. His lightning martial vein absorbed the purple-gold profound lightning. With the help of the purple lightning cauldron, he could also continuously absorb the purple-gold profound lightning. This made the purple-gold profound lightning in the god's watchtower roar with joy. Purple lightning cauldron? You know that I have one too. Looking at Imo Sha, the corners of Du Xiaofu's mouth curved into a smile. At the same time, he waved his hand and stretched it out. Purple electric arcs erupted from his palm. Amidst the resplendent electric arcs, a three-legged cauldron spiraled out. As if it had received some kind of summon, it instantly grew to several hundred feet in length and spiraled above the void, emitting rumbling sounds of lightning and thunder. Boom! At this moment, the sky trembled violently again. The purple lightning arcs intensified, and the purple lightning source surged. The destructive lightning aura that made the hearts of all living beings palpitate multiplied in an instant. Divine Lightning Cauldron. This is the second Divine Lightning Cauldron. Demon King Du Xiaofu has the second Divine Lightning Cauldron. Oh my God, that's two Divine Lightning Cauldrons. Suddenly, the sky boiled as two Divine Lightning Cauldrons appeared. The old figures present trembled violently. Divine Lightning Cauldron. That little bastard also has a Divine Lightning Cauldron. Li Chenfa, Qin Tianshi, Long Tong, Gong Sunhua, and the other experts of legalism, dragons, and the school of vertical and horizontal were even more shocked. Divine Lightning Cauldron. This guy really hit it well. Huang Linger, Kong Sansi, and the others stood in the distance, wrapped in light. Their eyes shone with divine light as waves appeared in their eyes. Buzz. Two purple lightning cauldrons appeared, and the sound of wind and thunder resounded. The sky above the Chunhuang mainland had completely turned into a sea of lightning. Lightning arcs flowed like waves in the ocean. Retreat quickly. The experts of the various mountain sects led the weaker disciples and descendants and quickly retreated. Under the destructive aura of the lightning, even more than 90% of the experts present were not qualified to be affected, let alone the descendants and disciples of the mountain sections. They did not dare to be implicated. It's indeed on you. At this moment, when he saw Du Xiaofu summon the purple lightning cauldron, Moksha's pale face flashed with a smile. With the 9 cauldrons gathered, can you fuse the second cauldron? Du Xiaofu stepped into the sea of lightning and looked at Moksha's purple lightning cauldron. He felt his own purple lightning cauldron roaring with joy, as if it instinctively wanted to fuse with the second cauldron. Go. Slightly raising his head, lightning rippled in his eyes. Du Xiaofu activated the purple lightning cauldron with all his might, wanting to fuse with the second purple lightning cauldron that had finally appeared. Come on. Moksha laughed sinisterly. Demonic chi rolled, rippling with purple gold lightning. He waved his sleeve and activated the purple lightning cauldron to resist. Rumble. The purple lightning cauldron exploded, and the sea of lightning surged. Purple lightning as thick as an arm continuously fell from the sky and landed on the ground, shattering mountains and boulders. Many creatures trembled in fear and retreated, not daring to resist. Buzz, buzz. The 2 purple lightning cauldrons collided, spinning and roaring. The void trembled, and endless thunder erupted, shaking people's souls. At this moment, even the battle between Du Xiaoyao and Jialo Juexiao was affected. They had to retreat a little to avoid being affected by the purple lightning cauldron. Li Chenfa, Long Ting, Gong Sun Hua, and the others' eyes twitched violently. That terrifying thunder made them tremble in fear. Du Xiaofu had the divine thunder cauldron and could still activate such terrifying power. This was definitely the last thing they wanted to see. At this moment, Du Xiaofu, who was already so powerful, had truly matured. Even if they intercepted him alone, it would be difficult to deal with him. Who is that mysterious man? He has demonic aura. Could he be from the devil religion? In the void, Elder Di Pai frowned, his body wrapped in yellow light. The Demon King, Du Xiaofu, has the divine thunder cauldron. With the 9 cauldrons gathered, he can command the 9 families. Elder Xing Hun was wrapped in starlight, his eyes rippling. Rumor has it that the other 8 divine thunder cauldrons fell into the hands of demons and were taken away by them. Now they are in the hands of that man. If he is from the devil religion, then the devil religion is undoubtedly left behind by the ancient demons. Bing Imo frowned and looked at the sky. She had been staring at the battle on the sea of lightning in the sky. The devil religion is related to the ancient demons. The old lady was sure that the appearance of the Demon King and people from the devil religion outside the golden-winged Great Rock Clan was enough to prove that the devil religion was left behind by the ancient demons. The devil religion had revealed its true colors. Rumble. The 2 purple lightning profound cauldrons clashed, and the purple gold profound thunder exploded, as if it was going to explode the sky. The terrifying power caused even the top experts present to shiver. One could imagine how terrifying this power was. However, everyone could feel that the divine thunder cauldron activated by Moksha was being suppressed and pushed back. Moksha's physical body was pushed back, and he spat out blood again. Moksha's face turned serious again, and his blood was surging. He knew that he had yet to truly control the purple lightning profound cauldron, and his indestructible Xian body was only half complete. He was still unable to truly control the purple lightning profound cauldron and achieve the indestructible Xian body. So you have yet to truly control it. Du Xiaofu's voice came out of the thunder. With the purple lightning profound cauldron, he could feel that Moksha had yet to truly control the purple lightning profound cauldron. He immediately used all his strength, and with the overwhelming purple gold profound thunder, he blasted Moksha to suppress the second purple lightning profound cauldron. At this moment, the thunder exploded. Du Xiaofu had truly used all his strength to activate the purple lightning profound cauldron. Monstrous purple electric arcs shone brightly in the sky. The sky was roaring, and there were purple gold thunderbolts falling, as if the heavenly thunder was descending. The sea of thunder was intense, and divine light was gushing out. At this moment, the sky was about to be overturned, and it was extremely terrifying. Moksha spat out blood again and retreated. His old injuries had yet to heal, and new ones were added to them. Moksha, you have nowhere to run today, Du Xiaofu shouted. wanting to capture Moksha and merge with the second purple lightning profound cauldron. Is that so? Unfortunately, I'm afraid you won't be able to do as you wish. Moksha smiled, and his pale face had the same smile as before. When his voice fell, he looked into the depths of the void. Unknowingly, dark clouds had gathered in the depths of the void, and in a very short time, they covered the sky. Chapter 1764. Translator. H2DH2 Mr. Translator. H2DH2 Mr. Suddenly, a huge crack appeared in the dark clouds in the sky, revealing a strange black light. Boom! Suddenly, a strange tremor appeared in the void. An evil aura rushed over, a murderous aura howling like the wind, and a black fog filled the sky. At this moment, all the super experts on the Chenhuang mainland seemed to have sensed something. They immediately looked up into the sky. In the corner of the crowd, a man in purple looked up. He was Jiangxian. His eyes rippled as he stared at the void. On a mountain peak in the distance, two mysterious figures wrapped in robes could be seen. However, their eyes were also rippling. Du Xiaofu also felt it, and his heart trembled for a moment. He suddenly looked up into the depths of the void. The dark clouds covered the sky and the sun, and the evil aura was oppressive. A huge black palm reached out from the crack, surrounded by demonic aura. Hula! This huge palm was accompanied by demonic aura. It had no vitality, but it was like the most evil thing in the world. It could make all the evil spirits in the 9 underworlds and the 18 levels of hell submit to it. This palm fell without a sound, but it was as if all the evil aura in the world had gathered at this moment. The moment this palm touched the purple gold profound bomb, it surged in all directions, and demonic aura poured out. Rumble. All of this was like a spark landing on hot oil, causing the ground beneath the void to crack in an instant. Crack, crack. The cracks on the ground spread like a spider web. Lakes rose and fell. Lightning flashed. Thunder rumbled. And explosions rang out endlessly. This palm was too terrifying. It crushed everyone's hearts, and all the super experts present felt their souls tremble. Their souls surged with uneasiness. This huge palm was not afraid of the purple gold profound bomb. It reached out from the depths of the void, and the purple lightning surged. It was directly blasted away. The huge 5 fingers curled slightly and grabbed at Du Xiaofu's purple lightning profound cauldron. Du Xiaofu sensed that the huge palm had appeared for the purple lightning profound cauldron. But at this moment, Du Xiaofu's profound energy was frozen under the vast and terrifying aura, and his peerlessly powerful soul core seemed to be at a loss as well. He was imperceptibly affected by this terrifying aura. However, at this moment, the mysterious incomplete cultivation technique in Du Xiaofu's Naiwan Palace began to circulate by itself. It was filled with an ancient aura, causing his primordial spirit to shudder. It was as if he had been reborn. The 9 revolutions divine Lei Lian exploded with lightning. The spiritual roots in his primordial spirit and the 4 bolts of spiritual thunder also exploded. How dare you? Du Xiaofu shouted. In a split second, he activated the purple lightning profound cauldron with all his might. Vast purple gold lightning surged out and swept towards the giant palm. In the depths of the void, there seemed to be a soft cry of surprise from a distant space. However, the giant palm was not obstructed at all. It continued to descend and crush towards Du Xiaofu's purple lightning profound cauldron, distorting a large part of the void. The huge force crushed the purple lightning profound cauldron and also crushed Du Xiaofu's primordial spirit. A vast and boundless force hit Du Xiaofu's body. Puff! This force was unstoppable and too vast. It caused Du Xiaofu to spit out a mouthful of golden blood that did not dissipate. The azure spirit armor on his body also dimmed and was about to crack. Screech! The rock's cry pierced through the clouds and cracked the stones. A gigantic golden-winged rock that was thousands of feet long soared into the sky, shining with golden light and bursting with endless light. It rushed into the void thunder sea and charged towards the giant palm. This was the original body of the old lady, Jialo Maluo. She intervened to protect Du Xiaofu. The giant palm crushed down without any hesitation. monstrous demonic chi was released, as if it could envelop the old lady's huge body. That vast and boundless force was not something the old lady could block at all. Puff! The golden light on the old lady's body dimmed. Her feathers cracked and she spat out blood. Her huge body fell from the void and crashed into the mountain peak, destroying countless mountains. The giant demonic chi palm was unstoppable and was about to crush Du Xiaofu's purple lightning profound cauldron. This world will not let you run amok. Suddenly, a voice reverberated in the void. From the 5 directions of the north, south, east, west, and central, 5 dazzling beams of energy shot out from the void and finally converged above the void thunder sea. 5 dazzling beams of energy intertwined from 5 directions and converged into a sharp void sword. It shone brightly and bloomed in the world. Ancient runes rippled and intertwined, traversing the void. This sharp void sword seemed to have descended from ancient times. It pierced through the void and could cut through the heavens as it swept past the giant palm. Whoosh! At this moment, the unstoppable palm finally collapsed, turning into monstrous demonic chi that dispersed in the void. Eastern deity, Western demon, Southern Ru, Northern addict, and Central Tongshan. Are the 5 of you still alive? A lifeless voice came from the crack in the dark clouds. It reverberated in the heavens and earth. It's a pity that those people back then are all dead. You juniors can't stop me. As the lifeless voice fell, demonic chi billowed into the heavens. Lightning flashed and thunder rumbled, and a 12-leaf black lotus appeared in the void. It was 1,000 feet in size and countless shadows of evil spirits gushed out. They appeared in a frenzy, and the cries of ghosts and gods reverberated in the heavens and earth. You didn't succeed back then. You won't get what you want this time either. The voice in the void was ethereal. Above the 5 dazzling beams of sword chi, countless beams of sword chi burst out. It was like the sun in the sky, blazing and intertwining. The dense sword chi filled the void thunder sea with countless ancient runes. At the same time, countless ancient techniques and secret techniques were unleashed. In such a battle, the attackers did not even appear. However, the entire Chunhuang mainland was already surging tides. The earth shook, the mountains moved, and the rivers flowed in reverse. Woo-woo! Demonic chi wreaked havoc. All of a sudden, something in the heavens and earth seemed to have been awakened. It was as if it was summoning all the evil spirits in the heavens and earth to submit. The earth trembled and let out a low rumble. Dark clouds billowed and demonic chi filled the heavens. It was as if countless ferocious beasts were roaring and howling, wanting to rush out from the dark underground. Endless sword chi was destroying the demonic chi and purifying everything. The 12-leaf black lotus fluctuated with radiance. Black runes revolved around it, and it was filled with a destructive aura. Wong wong. Wind and thunder rumbled. The heavens and earth were turning upside down. This kind of pressure was too terrifying and shocking. It was so terrifying that even super existences like Old Monster Xing Hun, Li Chenfa, Qin Tianshi, Icy Ink, and Old Man Di Pai were trembling in fear and retreated. Even they were unable to be affected by that kind of mighty pressure. The heavens were torn apart as if it was about to explode. Demonic chi gushed out, and the cries of ghosts and gods could be heard. The sword chi swept out with divine light and shattered the void. It was extremely terrifying. Rumble, rumble. High up in the sky, lightning flashed and thunder rumbled. The 12-leaf black lotus appeared and revolved, pushing the sword chi out. It also erupted with a huge devouring power. Then, it wrapped around Amo Lingzi, Jialo Julia, Moksha, and his purple lightning profound cauldron and gradually disappeared from the heavens. Eastern deity, Western demon, Southern Ru, Northern addict, Middle Tongshan, you few juniors can't hold on for much longer. When I recover, this world will turn into a demonic domain. You all will be the first to be annihilated. A lifeless voice was heard. The voice was low and deep. It clearly came from the crack in the dark clouds, but it sounded like it came from the 9 nether underworlds. Woo-woo. When that voice disappeared, the demonic chi and the billowing demonic chi in the heavens also gradually disappeared into the depths of the heavens. That endless sword chi also disappeared, and the heavens above the Qianhuang mainland also began to return to normal. Goo goo, the heavens and earth were dead silent, and all living beings felt their hair stand on end. That terrifying power just now had shocked every single living being. Compared to it, they were nothing. So there was still such a strong existence in this world. Grandmother, Sacred Elder, Jialo Kaling, Jialo Jueyu, and the disciples of the golden-winged Great Peng clan immediately pounced on the heavily injured Jialo Mola. The old lady's huge body was bleeding from the demonic qi. Even someone as powerful as her was unable to move due to the demonic qi. Du Xiaofu's figure appeared in the heavens. When the purple lightning profound cauldron was released, he immediately put it back into his body. He opened his mouth and spat out another mouthful of blood. Western Demon, looking into the depths of the heavens, Du Xiaofu narrowed his eyes. He had heard of such a name when he was in Shangzhou. Grandmother. In the next instant, Du Xiaofu and little Xingxing rushed to the old lady's side. Her face was as pale as ash, and blood was flowing out of her mouth. Great-grandmother, quickly take the treasure medicine. Little Xingxing's little hand was holding a bright treasure medicine. He immediately handed it to the old lady. His young face and clear eyes were filled with anxiety and worry. Good child. You seem to have improved a lot. The old lady stroked the back of little Xingxing's head. She took the treasure medicine and swallowed it. Then, she asked Du Xiaofu, Child, are you all right? I'm fine. You should treat your injuries first. Du Xiaofu nodded. His injuries were fine, but he was worried about the old lady's injuries. The old lady was heavily injured because she wanted to help him. Ju Qi has already fused with the demonic bone. The old lady opened her mouth. Her eyes were serious and complicated. Du Xiaofu interrupted the old lady. He knew what the old lady wanted to say. He said, I already know everything. Don't worry and treat your injuries first. We'll talk about this later. Du Tingxian, Du Xiaofu, come out and die. Suddenly, a sharp voice filled with killing intent was heard. A vast aura swept across the sky. Chapter 1765. His voice rang out, resounding through the void that had just been silent for a short while. Instantly, countless gazes turned towards the source of the voice. Rumble. A vast aura surged, causing the winds to blow and clouds to churn. From the three great clans, Legalism, Dragons, and School of Vertical and Horizontal, experts led by Li Chunfa, Long Teng, Qin Tianshi, and Gongsun Hua flew out one after another. Du Tingxian, Du Xiaofu, you and your father will die today. Li Chunfa, Qin Tianshi, Long Teng, and Gongsun Hua shouted with undisguised killing intent. Seeing that the old lady, Garuda Mola, and Du Xiaofu were heavily injured, this was the best opportunity for them. This is going to be fun. Instantly, the surrounding figures retreated, causing violent fluctuations. Regarding the grudge between the dragons, Legalism, School of Vertical and Horizontal, and Du Xiaofu, there were probably not many experts gathered in the Qianhuang mainland who did not know about it. There were also people who had long speculated that after the Divine Dominion closed, the Demon King, Du Xiaofu, would be besieged by the dragons, Legalism, and other experts. As expected, Legalism, Dragons, and School of Vertical and Horizontal would definitely not let this matter rest. Taking advantage of the fact that Garuda Mola of the Golden-Winged Rocks and Du Xiaofu were heavily injured, Legalism, Dragons, and School of Vertical and Horizontal would definitely not let this go. They would definitely want to kill Du Xiaofu. My father and my life. Do you still want to take it? Du Tingxian soared through the air, his silhouette ramrod straight. His hair fluttered in the wind as the sounds of dragons and snakes could be faintly heard. Lightning erupted from his body as an armor of lightning enveloped him. Rumbling sounds rang out in the air, akin to heavenly drums and heavy hammers, causing the hearts of the experts present to pound. Nirvana Peak. An old man spoke. He could sense the terrifying aura emanating from Du Tingxuan's body. Oh my God, Du Tingxian is so strong. Everyone's hearts and souls trembled, and waves of shock appeared in their eyes. Worthy of being the Demon King's father, he was terrifying to the extreme. When they felt Du Tingxuan's aura, Ling Tang, Gongsun Hua, Li Chunfa, and the rest of the people from the three great clans could not help but shudder. It wasn't just the demon king, Du Xiaofu, whose growth was frightening. Du Tingxian was also frightening. Du Tingxian, I'm afraid you're still too weak. Li Chunfa's eyes twitched fiercely. This was outside the divine dominion, the Qianhuang mainland. They wouldn't be suppressed in any way. Although a Nirvana peak stage expert was strong, it wasn't enough to contend against them. Shameless old thing, what if you count us in? A shout rang out. Du Xiaoyao had unknowingly put away her enormous red-bone horse-monkey body and stood beside Du Tingxian at the same time as little Xingxing. Rumble. At this moment, little Xingxing and Du Xiaoyao's Nirvana peak stage aura swept out without holding back, and the pressure was impressive. It's Du Xiaoyao and the Purple Dragon Emperor, those two freaks. Everyone's eyes trembled. For those present, there were only a few people who didn't know how terrifying Du Xiaoyao and little Xingxing were. Do you think there's no one in my Huang country? Three figures descended at the same time. They were Mo Tianxiao, Mie Mingwang, and Thunder Eagle King. Rumble, rumble, rumble. The void trembled as another three terrifying auras shook the void. It was another three Nirvana peak stage experts. Rumble, almost at the same time. A series of trembling sounds exploded like firecrackers. Sovereigns like Du Yunlong, Yi Piaoling, Dai Xingyu, Dongli Qingqing, and Su Muxin joined in. There were also Du Xiaoqing, Little Tiger, Ouyang Shuang, Yizi Jin, Qian Guyu, the 17 Celestial Generals, Jin Qingchun, Du Xiaoman, Jade Fairy, Purple Sky Venerable, Silverwing Demonic Condor, Gui Che, Guqin Demon, and other experts whose strength had skyrocketed flew out together. Their mighty auras swept through the 9 heavens. Oh! Demonic beasts roared. Ancient demonic beasts like Yunzhan, Jiangfeng, Donghu, and Qi Dragon, as well as over 100 beast realm ancient demonic beast kings, all transformed into their true forms in an instant. They swept through the sky and roared like thunder. In addition, there were also experts like Du Yu, Du Shui, Du Hao, Blue Fantasy, and Scarlet Rock. Rumble. A storm swept through, and a muffled sound like thunder. In an instant, the void, which had just calmed down, was stirred up again. It was terrifying. At this moment, the desolate nation had a large number of Nirvana sovereigns. The domain realm cultivators were even more shocking. Other than Yunzhan and Jiangfeng, Gui Che, Phantom Tiger King, Guqin Demon, Little Ying, the 18 Celestial Generals, Du Yu, Du Shui, General, and Gu Xinyan had all broken through to the martial domain realm. In total, there were more than 200 of them. With more than 200 martial domain realm cultivators, such a terrifying lineup was enough to rank them among the top forces in the world. It was enough to be compared with the 9 great families. Such a lineup shocked the world. Oh my God, the desolate nation is already so powerful. Everyone's eyes were trembling, and their hearts were trembling. At that moment, the desolate country's lineup had shocked the entire Qianhuang mainland in a terrifying manner. It had shocked the world. Li Chunfa, Long Tang, Gong Sunhua, and the other members of the 3 great families had complicated expressions. Some of them even turned pale, and their eyes twitched violently. In the void, the desolate nation's lineup was too shocking. It was too terrifying, and it was enough to defeat Kyushu. Even the old lady, 4th Elder Jialo Yi, 5th Elder Jialo Yuan II, and the other experts of the great golden-winged Peng clan were stunned. It was as if they were deeply shocked by the desolate nation's lineup. In the void, Du Xiaojing stood in the air. Her eyes were rippling, her dress fluttered, and her hair danced. However, Du Xiaojing's beautiful figure did not move in the end. She only stood in the distance and watched. No one saw that Du Xiaojing's hands were tightly clenched under her long sleeves. Li Chunfa, Qin Tianshi, and the others had ugly expressions. They had thought that with the old lady, Jialo Maluo, severely injured, they would be able to defeat Du Tingxian and Du Xiaofu. They did not expect that they would attract so many terrifying people, especially Shi Tianlang, Mo Tianxiao, Thunderhawk King, Mie Mingwang, and Dongli Qingqing. Their auras made Li Chunfa and the others even more shocked. These terrifying people were too young, but they were already so terrifying at such a young age. Could it be that they all had a peerless demeanor? They wouldn't be inferior to Qin Wudi, Long San, and Gong Sun Wuji, whom their clans were proud of and regarded as the revitalization of their clan. With such a group of people, with their speed of growth, it would not be long before the legalism, dragons, and school of vertical and horizontal lost their advantage. Kill. We must kill them all. While they were shocked, Li Chenfa, Qin Tianshi, Long Tongue, and Gong Sun Hua looked at each other. They had a tacit understanding in their hearts. If they did not kill such a threat, it would be their turn to suffer in the future. Even if they had to pay a price today, they had to get rid of this future threat. Old thing, I said that I would destroy your clones in the divine dominion and kill your true bodies. Can't wait any longer? Du Xiaofu wiped the faint traces of blood from the corner of his mouth. He walked out from the old lady's side and crossed the void to stand beside his alcoholic father, Du Tingxian. Behind Du Xiaofu were 4th Elder Jialo Yi, 5th Elder Jialo Yuan-tu, 3rd Elder, 2nd Elder, Jialo Jueyu, Jialo Kaling, Jialo Juekong, and the others. They represented the stance of the great golden-winged rocks. At this moment, Li Chunfa, Long Tong, Gong Sun Hua, Qin Tianshi, and the others did not pose much of a threat to Du Xiaofu. It was not because of the people around him. Du Xiaofu was able to discern that even though Li Chunfa and the others had lost a soul clone and suffered heavy injuries, they were still experts at the Overlord realm in the end. The outside world wasn't the god domain, so they wouldn't be suppressed at all. However, Du Xiaofu had something to rely on. With the 3 blazing lightning bombs in his hand, it was more than enough to deal with Li Chunfa, Qin Tianshi, Long Tang, and Gong Sun Hua. There are quite a few of you, but it's a pity that it's still not enough. Long Tung's eyes twitched. When he saw Du Xiaofu, anger rose in his heart. Losing a soul core clone was such a heavy injury, and it was the greatest price he'd paid in his entire life. His foundation had been destroyed, so how could he not be furious? Little bastard, you're courting death. Li Chunfa's face was extremely gloomy as coldness shot out from his eyes. Even though the Desolate Kingdom had several hundred domain realm experts, Du Tingxian and the others were only at the peak of the Nirvana realm. Even the strongest of them were not enough to make them fear them. Sometimes, having more people was not necessarily useful. At their level of cultivation, it was more important to be stronger. Legalism, school of vertical and horizontal. Don't forget the oath your ancestors made. Du Xiaofu has the divine lightning cauldron. Do you still dare to attack him? Elder Di Chu spoke as he looked around. Then, Ancestor Bing Imo and Ancestor Xing Hun walked out. Behind Elder Di Chu, Bing Imo, and Xing Hun were the experts of the School of Agriculture, School of Moism, and School of Yin Yang. Zhou Xiaoluo, Imo Runan, Sima Muhan, Qi Yeshi, Qi Jejun, and the others stepped out together. Their auras shook the sky. Gudian Munchu, Gu Qingyang, Sima Taxing, In Machin, Xiang Ling, Shui Ruhan, and the others followed behind the School of Moism. The stance of these 3 families was very clear. They were going to be on the same side as the Desolate Kingdom. They were not afraid of legalism, School of Vertical and Horizontal, and the dragons. Divine Lightning Cauldron, however, Old Man Di Chu's words caused the experts from the 9 great families to be secretly moved. The gathering of the 9 cauldrons would command the 9 great families. As experts of the 9 great families, it was impossible for them not to know. Li Chunfa, Gong Sun Hua, and Qin Tianchi's eyes flickered. They had naturally thought of this, and it was the last thing they wanted to see. Gathering the 9 cauldrons is the only way to command the 9 great families. It's just a divine lightning cauldron. It doesn't mean anything. Gong Sun was said with a cold expression. Gathering the 9 cauldrons was the only way to command the 9 great families. Also, the divine lightning cauldron is in the hands of the devil religion and the ancient demons. There is a divine lightning cauldron outside, and it is now in Du Xiaofu's possession. The demons have appeared, and the calamity has come. Have you forgotten the teachings of your ancestors? Xing Hun looked directly at Li Chunfa, Gong Sun Hua, and the others. Starlight rippled, and the qi of yin and yang circulated. This has nothing to do with the teachings of our ancestors. A divine lightning cauldron does not mean anything. It can fall into anyone's hands. Li Chunfa looked at Xing Hun, then slowly glanced at Elder Di Chu and Bing Imo. He called out their names. Xing Hun, Bing Imo, Di Chu are the school of Yinyang, school of Moism, and school of agriculture declaring war on legalism, school of vertical and horizontal, and the dragons. Chapter 1766. Looks like the legalism, school of vertical and horizontal, and the dragons are really shameless. Don't think that others don't know what you're planning. Let's start the war then. I'd like to see how many people from the legalism, school of vertical and horizontal, and the dragons can still participate in the war. Old monster Xing Hun said in a deep voice, his tone full of mockery. In the divine territory, the core cultivators of the legalism, dragons, and school of vertical and horizontal were almost all dead. The three major families had already suffered heavy losses. Furthermore, the school of agriculture, school of Imo, school of Yinyang, desolate country, and the golden-winged great Pongbird tribe were all on par with them. Hearing old monster Xing Hun's words, the school of Yinyang and the rest were really determined to stand on the same side as the desolate country. Li Chunfa, Gong Sun Hua, Long Teng, and the rest were also solemn, their gazes dark. Thank you, seniors. Du Xiaofu spoke, bowing and nodding to old monster Xing Hun, Icy Ink, and old man Di Pai. Then, he looked at Li Chunfa and the rest, his eyes narrowed, and his lips curled into a cold smile. He did not hide his mockery as he said, Senior Xing Hun is right. I also want to know how many people from the legalism, school of vertical and horizontal, and the dragons can still be sent to their deaths. Little bastard, do you think you can sit back and relax just because you have someone to protect you? Li Chunfa's face twitched as he stared at Du Xiaofu. The main culprit was right in front of him. If not for this little bastard, the legalism would not have ended up in this state. Countless people were killed, and many experts were killed. The entire legalism had suffered heavy losses, and it had already affected the fortunes of the legalism. You keep saying that my son is a little bastard, but don't forget that my son Xiaofu also has the bloodline of Ao Tong. If that's the case, it seems like you've long admitted that you're an old bastard. Du Tingshuan's voice was like thunder that resounded in all directions. His long hair and robe fluttered in the wind, and his entire body was wrapped in lightning. It was as if he had walked out from ancient times, as if an ancient god had descended. Du Tingxian had a resolute face. His long eyebrows slanted to his temples, and his thick and long eyelashes softened his originally firm and powerful facial features. However, the sharpness in his eyes could kill at this moment. He stared straight at Li Chunfa of legalism and said in a deep voice, that day, I said that when we father and son come out, it will be time for us to settle the score. Old bastard, don't talk too much. It's time for us to settle the score. When Du Tingxian scolds someone, he doesn't lack Du Xiaofu. They are indeed father and son. Hearing Du Tingshuan's words, many super experts in the surroundings secretly smiled. Under such circumstances, the majority of the people chose to watch. It had nothing to do with them. However, at this moment, the name Du Tingxian was no stranger to all the forces and living beings in the entire Qianhuang mainland. Not long ago, the name Du Tingxian had left behind countless legends in the entire central state. The Sky Snake Sect and Spirit Sky Valley were destroyed at the same time in one day, shocking Kyushu. This was what Du Tingxian had done back then. Under the space of the divine domain, Du Tingxian destroyed his own cultivation and recultivated as a supreme nirvana. This was even more shocking. Bastard. However, hearing Du Tingshuan's words, Li Chunfa's eyes were burning with anger. That father and son pair had never put him in their eyes. His gaze was cold and filled with hatred as he said, Today, you father and son are dead meat. Legalism is nothing. How dare a loser like you shout at my new master? When my old master was still alive, killing your legalism people was like slaughtering dogs. Suddenly, from the direction of the central state, a voice like this shook the void. It was like thunder, shaking one's soul and making one tremble. Crackle. At the same time, lightning runes intertwined and mysterious runes bloomed. Then, amidst the dazzling waves of lightning, several figures appeared. The first one was an old man. His face was old and his aura was faint. However, the formless power was enough to make all living beings tremble in fear. His power was not below that of the Golden Rock clan's old lady, Jalomola. Behind the old man, 8 mysterious figures descended. Thunder and lightning burst out, and electric arcs blazed. Their bodies were wrapped in electric arcs, and their eyes were dazzling, as if they contained a sea of lightning. When they gathered together, their undisguised killing intent soared into the sky and shook the entire Qinhuang mainland. It's them. Immediately, someone recognized the 9 people. Among them, the 8 mysterious figures had descended to the central state and razed the Sky Snake sect and Spirit Sky Valley to the ground in a short time. They had also killed the ancestors of the Sky Snake sect and Spirit Sky Valley. Greetings, Master. The 8 mysterious figures appeared and bowed respectfully to Du Tingxian. The old man stepped forward and stood beside Du Tingxian. He bowed and said, "Greetings, new master." Old Lei. Du Tingxian nodded. He was very respectful to the old man. Only Li Chunfa's eyes were twitching. When he had descended to the stone city of the barren country in the central state, he wanted to destroy the Du family's fortune but was defeated. Although he had only heard the old man's voice and had not seen him, Li Chunfa knew that the old man was the one who had defeated him at the Du family. What a powerful aura! The Du family of the barren country has hidden such a powerful expert. The expressions of the super experts and elderly figures in the surroundings of the Chan desolate mainland secretly changed. That old man whom Du Tingxian had called Old Lei was someone that few people present could compare to. "Who exactly are you?" Li Chunfa asked in a gloomy voice. His eyes flickered as he gritted his teeth. "My old master is Jinlei Tensei. The new master is Du Tingxian of the Du family. You're just a junior. You can call me Master Lei," Old Lei said. His aura was calm, but his invisible aura was domineering. Jinlei Tensei. When such a title was spread out, the gazes of countless people in the crowd rippled. Such a title was too shocking. It was said that Jinlei Tensei had existed during the Great Calamity. It was even rumored that he could stand shoulder to shoulder with the strongest experts of the 9 great families. Not long ago, a mansion left behind by Jinlei Tensei appeared on the Tianhuang mainland. Jinlei Tensei was one of the top experts in the world, and it was enough to affect the world. The 9 great families also entered the competition. Especially among the younger generation, there were 13 outstanding dragons like Dragon 9, the 9th prince of the Dragon clan, Huang Linger of the Phoenix clan, Bailey Wuya of the Ningzhou, Mu Jianchen of the Shangzhou, Qinggu of the Liizhou prefecture, Hua Zimo of the Wanzhou prefecture, Feng Wuxia of the Yu prefecture, and Yu Zheng Tongxian of the Yunzhou prefecture. However, later on, the mansion of Jinlei Tensei was closed. No one knew who had obtained the mansion left behind by Jinlei Tensei. There were also people who guessed that the mansion left behind by Jinlei Tensei was in the hands of Du Tingxian. However, these were all just guesses. At this moment, everything was revealed. The mansion left behind by Jinlei Tensei was indeed in the hands of Du Tingxian. Jinlei Tensei. The eyes of Li Chunfa, Qin Tianshi, Long Tang, and Gong Sun Hua were also trembling. Such a title indeed made them wary. Back then, the 3 great clans had also fought for the mansion of Jinlei Tensei, but they had all returned in defeat. Fortunately, Jinlei Tensei had already fallen, and all that was left behind was the legacy. However, the legacy of Jinlei Tensei would be exceptionally terrifying in the hands of a supreme martial artist like Du Tingxian. They could not help but be worried. Du Xiaofu, and I have some connections. Whoever dares to touch him today, I don't mind interfering. Another calm voice was heard. At this moment, a figure silently appeared in the void. It was an old woman. As the figure appeared, the entire void trembled quietly. When he saw the old woman, Li Chunfa was once again dumbfounded. His expression was extremely gloomy. How could Li Chunfa forget that old woman? Back when he went to the Du family of the barren country, he was also defeated by this old woman. It's her. She has finally shown herself. With the appearance of this old woman, many old figures in the void, including the old lady Jalomola and the others, were secretly moved. For the past few months, they had been sensing some obscure auras in the surroundings, and one of them was this old woman's aura. She seems to be from the Great Luan sect. Is she related to that clan? Some old figures murmured softly. Great Lewin's sect. In one of the groups, an old figure was secretly moving. This was an expert from a famous clan, and he seemed to be deep in thought. It's her. When the old woman appeared, Du Xiaofu narrowed his eyes. Naturally, he recognized this old woman. She was Dongli Qingqing's master. Master. Dongli Qingqing was pleasantly surprised. Her beautiful figure flew out, graceful and elegant, like a fairy, and landed beside the old woman. When her master appeared and said that she wanted to intervene, Dongli Qingqing knew that this was probably her master's tacit approval. She was no longer trying to stop her like she did before. Good, good, good. There's hope. Sensing Dongli Qingqing's aura at this moment, the old woman said the word good 3 times in a row. On her wrinkled old face, her eyes were faintly moist. Senior. Du Xiaofu narrowed his eyes for a moment, then braced himself and stepped forward. There was no way he could avoid it. No matter what, Dongli Qingqing was his woman. The old woman glanced at Du Xiaofu, but her expression was much gentler than before. She nodded. Looks like legalism, school of vertical and horizontal, and dragons are done for this time. With the arrival of Elder Lei and the old woman, it was not difficult for the people present to feel that legalism, dragons, and school of vertical and horizontal had been suppressed. If they were to take action now, legalism, school of vertical and horizontal, and dragons would not be able to gain any advantage. Legalism, school of vertical and horizontal. It's time to pay the price. Du Tingxian said. He had endured for almost 30 years, and even stayed in the border stone city. However, legalism and school of vertical and horizontal had never truly let them go. Today, he was going to start his counterattack. Kiki, looking at the desolate country's formation in the void, Li Chenfa sneered with confidence and disdain. He said, "Do you really think that's enough? You're a frog in a well. You're not enough, far from it." Boom. The heavens and earth trembled. A vast wave swept across the entire Chenhuang mainland, shaking the 9 heavens. It was as if the entire Chenhuang mainland was going to explode. Chapter 1767. What's going on? This huge fluctuation made the super experts and the many old figures floating in the void tremble. The terrifying aura was too shocking. In an instant, amidst everyone's astonishment, bright runes shone down from the void, illuminating the void that had long disappeared from the divine dominion. This vast aura and shocking movement was like the birth of a demon god. Woo woo! In an instant, the shadows of stars appeared in the void. Ferocious beasts roared and ferocious birds appeared. The strange phenomenon in the sky was unparalleled. It was as if a world had descended. At the same time, in that world, a resplendent figure appeared. He sat cross-legged in the air, and the surroundings were resplendent. It made him seem like a god, and his might had descended into the world. All the living beings in the Qianhuang mainland felt the pressure from the depths of their souls. They wanted to worship him. Divine Ancestor. When the figure appeared in the void, Li Chenfa, Qin Tianshi, and the other legalism experts trembled. They were pleasantly surprised and bowed. Saint Martial Realm. Elder Lei stared at the space in front of him. Such a vast aura caused even his body to ripple with lightning. His wrinkled face immediately furrowed. Legalism's divine ancestor, that's a Saint Martial Realm expert. The void in the distance was boiling. The old figures and super experts were also suppressed. They did not dare to occupy the same void as him. They were suppressed, and their eyes were filled with shock. Saint Martial Realm. When these words landed in Du Xiaofu's ears, his heart and soul trembled. That vast and mighty aura caused Du Xiaofu's soul to tremble, and he wanted to worship it. It was a kind of incomparably vast and unstoppable pressure that permeated the air. The Saint Martial Realm was a level that only existed in legends. It was only a legend in the current world. It was rumored that an existence like the Saint Martial Realm could kill millions of people in a fit of anger. They could destroy the heavens and earth. They could even make the sun and moon irrelevant. And now, the legendary Saint Martial Realm appeared in the void. That pressure was enough to make all the living beings tremble. They did not dare to speak. Walala. At the same time, a ball of fire silently appeared in the distance. It was like a meteor falling from the sky, silently appearing on the Chunhuang mainland. Flames were spreading in the void. The flames were illusory and were not bright flames. However, they burned the void until it was a blur. A figure could be seen standing in the middle of the blurry flames. His aura was not any weaker than that of the divine ancestor of legalism. Aolo. At the same time, in the distant horizon of the four seas, a dragon's roar resounded through space. In the next instant, the sea of clouds in the sky roiled and raging flames filled the air. In an instant, a gigantic dragon of immeasurable length appeared in the distant sky. Half of the dragon's body appeared, and its claws could tear through the void. Half of the dragon's body appeared in the sea of clouds in the sky, and the tail could not be seen. This giant dragon appeared, its entire body covered in raging flames. It was incomparably red as it stretched across the void. On its sinister head, the dragon's eyes were like red black holes that overlooked all living things. The raging flames covered the dragon's scales, but it gave off a feeling that it was as tough as steel. The dragon's eyes seemed to be able to devour the world. All living things could not help but be shocked. The appearance of such a giant dragon was indescribably huge, and all living things could not help but feel a chill run down their spines. Oh, when such a giant dragon appeared, all the monsters in the surroundings roared and prostrated. Greetings, divine ancestor. Greetings, divine ancestor. When such a giant dragon and an illusory figure descended, the dragons, Long Ting, Gong Sun Hua, and the others immediately bowed with smiles on their faces. Gugu. When such a giant dragon and two terrifying figures appeared on the Chenhuang mainland, all living things could not help but gulp. Those with lower cultivation levels began to worship them directly. Holy Martial Realm, 2 Holy Martial Realm experts, and a Holy Dragon. In order to kill Du Tingxian and Du Xiaofu, the legalism, the dragons, and the school of vertical and horizontal are going all out. This is the ultimate strength. The Holy Martial Realm. This is the true strength of the 9 great families. Everyone in the void was shocked, and countless gazes were trembling. At this moment, just the pressure that these 3 figures brought about was enough to make people unable to not prostrate themselves in worship. Du Xiaofu narrowed his eyes. This was the true strength of the 9 great families. In the face of such pressure, Du Xiaofu felt that he was no match for them. The Holy Martial Realm was an existence that surpassed everything. It was so strong that it was indescribable. Du Xiaofu deeply felt that he was insignificant. They're really going all out. The old lady, Garuda Mola, raised her head. Her pale face was filled with coldness. Not good. The legalism, the dragons, and the school of vertical and horizontal are already prepared. They're going all out to deal with Du Tingxian and Du Xiaofu. I see ink. Elder Daipai, Xinghun, and the other experts' faces changed. They had already thought of the legalism and the school of vertical and horizontals Li Qinfa. They definitely wouldn't let Du Tingxian and Du Xiaofu go so easily. However, they didn't expect the legalism to send out Holy Martial Realm experts. Xinghun, Icy Ink, Elder Daipai, and the others were the ancestors of the 9 great families. They knew what it meant to send out Holy Martial Realm experts. The appearance of Holy Martial Realm experts represented the legalism. The school of vertical and horizontal and the dragons were really going all out. At this moment, they couldn't inform their families in time. Rumble. Suddenly, a rumbling sound came from the sky. From the end of the void, a dazzling ink-black rune swept out, turning into a rain of light that undulated in the void. Walala! The dazzling ink-black rune fluctuated, revealing a kind of mystery of the world. Between the heaven and earth, there was a trace of chaotic chi. In that great calamity, the sun and the moon fell, the stars collapsed, and countless almighty experts died. In the blink of an eye, time has passed and the sea has turned into mulberry fields. The old voice reverberated between heaven and earth, as if it had transcended the ancient time and space. When the voice slowly spread, a smile appeared on little Xingxing's face. Xingu, Do you want to intervene? The huge, raging flame-red dragon looked into the depths of the void and roared. The great calamity has arrived. The ancient demon has appeared. Stop fighting and resist the calamity. The old figure was faint, and then a huge, blurry shadow of a giant turtle appeared in the sky. It seemed to have lived for countless years and could overlook the mortal world. This giant tortoise was also at the Saint Realm. Looking at it from afar, one could feel that it had once shaken the mountains and rivers, created legends, and dominated the world. It was one of the most powerful existences left in the world. It's that legendary old turtle. It's still alive and hasn't returned to the dust. It's reappeared. The experts of the beast region trembled. To the experts of the beast region, the old turtle was a taboo existence. After so many years, the old turtle was still alive. It was hard to believe, and it shocked them. What if we must attack? The school of vertical and horizontal's divine ancestor looked at the giant turtle. Flames flickered in the blurry void. His voice was calm, but it was powerful without anger. He had had countless glorious days, and once looked down on the world. If you must attack, then I can only stretch these old bones, said the old turtle. It seemed calm, boundless, and faint, but its formless power was astonishing. It had once intimidated the ancient era and made the great powers tremble. Its calm words were a deep warning. Old turtle, it seems you want to become enemies with us, the school of legalism, the school of vertical and horizontal, and the dragons. Could it be that you want to fight against the three of us by yourself? A grand aura rippled in the void. The figure sitting cross-legged opened his eyes. His gaze was like a rising sun, and the surrounding void began to boil. Legalism, dragons, and the school of vertical and horizontal. So what? Who do you think you are? Do you think I'm dead? His voice pierced the clouds and cracked stone, and rumbled like thunder. In an instant, golden light filled the sky from the direction of the beast region. A golden sea appeared in the void, and golden ripples spread out like a tide. Walala! Along with it, a vast and domineering aura swept out. Golden light shot out in all directions, and a terrifying aura swept out. Chapter 1768. Screech! The cry of a rock resounded. Amidst the surging tide of golden light, the image of a golden-winged rock flapped its wings and flew over. It was like a golden torrent that hung in the sky, and it carried a peerlessly domineering and fierce aura. This golden-winged rock was too huge, much bigger than the old Granny Giallo Mola's body. Just the spread of its golden wings was enough to block out the sun. Golden talisman patterns flickered, emitting a blazing light as it soared into the sky. Rumble! In an instant, such a golden-winged rock appeared, and its ferocious aura spread out. Even the sky was trembling, and it was terrifying. What a powerful aura! The elderly figures in the surrounding space were all shocked. The pressure that radiated from the enormous golden-winged Great Pung made the surrounding experts of the Beast Clan want to prostrate themselves on the ground and tremble. The terrifying pressure was far too powerful. Du Xiaofu cultivated the golden-winged rock technique, so he could feel how terrifying the aura at this moment was. It made his rock blood boil. The pressure exuded by the enormous great golden-winged Pung was even greater than the auras of the Saint Martial Realm cultivators. It was even more domineering than the auras of the Saint Martial Realm cultivators. Greetings, old chief. Greetings, grandfather. Greetings. In the lineup of the golden-winged rock clan, all the elders, Jialo Kaling, Jialo Jueyu, and the others immediately bowed to the golden-winged rock that covered the sky. Hearing this, Du Xiaofu was a little dumbfounded. Xiaofu, this is grandfather. He has been in seclusion in the clan all this time. It was grandmother who asked grandfather to come out a long time ago, afraid that legalism and the dragons would do anything to deal with you. Jialo Kaling's voice transmission also fell into Du Xiaofu's ears. Du Xiaofu's heart was filled with warmth. The golden-winged great rocks treated him wholeheartedly. The old lady had long predicted this situation and had informed the old clan leader. In fact, the one who came was also his convenient god-grandfather. Greetings, grandfather. Shocked, Du Xiaofu immediately bowed. Under that unparalleled and domineering pressure, the rock blood in his body boiled. The huge rock flew across the sky. Its huge eyes were like the sun, shining with golden light. Like golden lightning, its gaze landed on Du Xiaofu. It said, "So it's you, kid? Don't worry, with me here, no one can touch you." His voice was incomparably domineering, causing Du Xiaofu's eardrums to tremble. "You want to touch my golden-winged great rocks? Let me see if you're strong enough." The gigantic golden-winged great pong spread its wings and soared into the sky. Its voice was like thunder. Two golden lightning-like eyes shot out like golden lightning, staring straight at the blazing scarlet dragon and legalism. The Saint Martial Realm expert of the school of Zhengheng seemed to have the intention to fight one against three. Seeing the golden-winged great pong and the blazing scarlet dragon, the Saint Martial Realm experts of the school of legalism and the school of Zhengheng all had unsightly expressions. "Oh no, this is going to be an earth-shattering battle." All the creatures present were trembling. At that moment, holy martial realm experts and holy beasts had appeared one after another. A great battle was already unavoidable. Once such experts fought, the sky would collapse and the earth would rend. It would engulf the world and turn it into a great calamity. "Hey, it's been a long time since I've seen such a huge dragon. If I roasted it, it would definitely taste good." Right when the Saint Realm experts were about to make a move, a voice resounded from the distance. Then, as everyone looked at each other in surprise, a figure appeared in the sky. It was a sloppy old man in ragged clothes, with a few strands of grass in his white hair. He stared curiously at the blazing scarlet dragon. Compared to the blazing flame scarlet dragon, the sloppy figure seemed incomparably small. However, saliva dripped from his mouth as if he really wanted to roast the dragon. However, when this sloppy figure appeared, the gazes of many people present seemed to have been struck by lightning, and huge waves rose in their eyes. Li Chenfa, Qin Tianshi, and the other school of legalism had their eyes twitching. This was especially true for Li Chenfa and Qin Tianshi. Huge waves rose in their hearts. Back then, that sloppy figure had ruthlessly slapped them before swaggering off. Gu Qingyang and the others also had their faces changed. They had seen this person outside the sealed ancient land in the central prefecture. Fuibai. Du Xiaofu was also a little stunned. Who else could that sloppy figure be other than the elusive Fuibai? Du Yu, Du Shui, Du Yunlong, Du Xiaoman, and the other Du family disciples were also dumbfounded. They stared at Fuibai for a long time. Fuibai, who used to sweep the floor of the Du family, wanted to roast a dragon as soon as he came out. Moreover, he wanted to roast a holy dragon. How could they not be shocked? "Puny human, you're courting death." The sacred dragon responded to Fu Yibai with a thunderous dragon roar. Its dragon breath gushed out and turned into a terrifying storm. It soared with a dragon shadow and swept towards Fu Yibai. As a sacred dragon, no one had ever looked down on a sacred dragon. This human wanted to roast it, which was the greatest disrespect and contempt to it. It wanted to use the simplest and most direct method to prove that its prestige was inviolable. Roar, roar. The dragon breath was violent, like the descent of heavenly fire. In an instant, it swept towards Fu Yibai, causing the space to crumble. Countless people in the surroundings were on tenterhooks. "Not good. Du Yunlong, Du Xiaoman, Du Yu, and Du Shui sucked in a breath of cold air because of Fu Yibai. However, with their cultivation and strength, they did not even have the ability to react, let alone intervene. But at that moment, under countless horrified gazes, Fu Yibai's face and hair didn't even flutter in the terrifying storm of dragon breath. He waved his sleeve slightly, and the terrifying dragon breath dissipated in the void as his shabby sleeve swept past. Whoosh! It was also at this moment that Fu Yibai's figure also vanished. Everyone looked at each other with horror and bewilderment. When Fu Yibai reappeared, he was already in the void above the blazing scarlet dragon's back. Roar! The sacred dragon seemed to have sensed it. It opened its mouth and roared. Its dragon scales glowed as it roared incessantly. Raging flames surged and shook the heavens. "Even that old fellow from the Azure Dragon lineage has to behave in front of me. How dare a mixed blood dragon like you attack me?" How dare you? Bai spoke as his figure descended. It seemed slow and light, but strangely, he appeared on the back of the blazing scarlet dragon. La, in the next instant, Bai directly grabbed at the gigantic dragon body and flipped off a huge, flaming dragon scale. It was pulled out along with a few dozen kilograms of dragon blood, causing the dragon blood to spurt out in all directions. Roar! The raging flame scarlet dragon roared. It was also in great pain. Its enormous dragon body rolled about, causing the void to collapse. Behave yourself. Bai stomped his foot, and the sacred dragon's back was in a terrible state. The dragon scales cracked one after another. Then, Bai appeared on the sacred dragon's head. He held the blazing scarlet dragon's forked dragon horn and shouted, "Behave yourself. Otherwise, I'll pull out your dragon horn." Roar! Bai's words made the blazing scarlet dragon roar again. However, it immediately behaved itself and did not dare to move. The entire void was stunned and horrified. Such a sloppy old man looked so weak, but he was able to trample a sacred dragon. No one dared to believe it. Was that really a sacred dragon? A sacred dragon was like a small snake in front of that sloppy old man. Was this real? Many people looked at each other. Some rubbed their eyes in disbelief, thinking that they had seen wrongly. At this moment, perhaps only the sacred dragon could truly experience Bai's strength. It unleashed its full strength, but it was unknowingly suppressed. The other party did not even have much of an aura, but it was unable to resist. Everyone was stunned. The golden-winged great Pong, the old tortoise, and the two St. Martial realms from the School of Legalism and School of Vertical and Horizontal were also stunned. Chapter 1769. Is this really Bai? In the silent void, Du Shui, and the other Du family disciples were completely stunned. How was this still the Bai from the Du family's martial codex? This was clearly a peerless expert. At this moment, the Du family disciples were enlightened. No wonder Du Xiaofu was so savage and wanted to roast ferocious beasts. It turned out that all of this came from Bai. Back in the Du family, Du Xiaofu and Bai would hang out together every day. They would climb trees to dig bird nests and catch fish in the water. There was once when they almost burned down the Du family's back mountain. Regret, Du Shui, and Du Hao were filled with regret. If they knew that Bai was such a peerless expert, they would have kept pestering Bai. If they could have obtained a move or two from him, it would have been immensely beneficial. Unfortunately, Bai had been hiding and deceiving the Du family for several generations. Who are you? The Legalism's St. Martial Realm expert spoke. He looked at Bai with fluctuating divine light in his eyes. Legalism's people. Bai's expression immediately turned gloomy as he turned around. He let go of the blazing scarlet dragon and soared into the sky. He appeared in the void in front of a Legalism, St. Martial Realm old man like a ghost. Legalism treated my warning as fart. With just this sentence, an invisible aura fluctuated from Bai's body, causing the surrounding void to tremble. Then, he slapped towards the Legalism St. Martial Realm expert. I don't care who you are. You are too arrogant. The Legalism St. Martial Realm expert was enraged and his expression changed. The sun, moon, and stars revolved in the world behind him. Mountains and rivers trembled as beasts roared. This was the Legalism's Dharma technique. It caused the surrounding void to shatter. Its power was shocking and terrifying to the extreme. Boom! The void exploded as runes filled the sky. A terrifying divine aura descended as all laws returned to one. The scene was terrifying as if it wanted to destroy the world. This terrifying aura caused the surrounding creatures to go limp, and some even knelt down. However, Bai's handprint was too strange. It stretched out without any fear, and the void seemed to have turned upside down as it overturned the heavens. Chi-la-la, at the same time. In the world that the Legalism St. Martial Realm expert brought about, stars fell, demonic beasts were annihilated, mountains and rivers collapsed. Pa! A crisp slap rang out. The red handprint landed on the face of the St. Martial expert from the School of Legalism. His figure was completely revealed. It was an old man with an aged appearance. At this moment, his face was red and swollen, and he spat out blood from his mouth. PFFF, as the pitiful Saint Martial Realm expert spat out blood. His aged body was smashed into the ruins below, causing the earth to shake and the mountains to shake. It was dead silent all around. The dignified legalism, Saint Martial Realm expert was a terrifying existence that only existed in legends. Any one of them had an earth-shattering glory and invincible might. They were all existences that created myths and legends. But now, a Saint Dragon was first trampled, and then this legalism Saint Martial Realm expert was sent flying with a single slap. Oh my God! The entire void was astonished. The scene in front of them made all the creatures' hair stand on end, and their hearts were filled with shock. The legalism, dragons, and school of vertical and horizontal fell from heaven to hell once again. Their faces were as pale as ash. This was the saint ancestor they invited, an immovable giant mountain. He was one of the strongest existences in the world, and his cultivation had reached the heavens. Otherwise, how could he be called a saint? The word saint was enough to describe him. But now, this scene was too unreal. The Saint Dragon of Dragons and the Saint Ancestor of Legalism couldn't even withstand a single blow. The remaining Saint Martial Realm expert from the school of vertical and horizontal was also shocked. The void around his body rippled with flames as he stood in midair in disbelief, his face pale. Bastards, I've already said in legalism that if you want to touch Du Xiaofu, you're welcome. It's fine if you're at the greater domain realm, but if you're able to kill him, that's your ability. But if you're at the bounded domain realm or above, I don't mind smacking you to death. Fui Bai was in the sky. These were the words he had said in legalism. He was furious now. His gaze swept across the figures of the legalism, school of vertical and horizontal, and dragons in the void. He said in a deep voice, "The great calamity of the world is coming. If it weren't for the fact that you're still useful, I would have smacked you to death one by one." His voice was like thunder, and his face was ashen. He continued, remember, if you want to touch Du Xiaofu, you're welcome to continue. If you're able to kill him, that's your ability. But remember, if you're at the saint realm or above, I'll destroy your orthodoxies. When these words fell into everyone's ears, the entire crowd was as silent as cicadas in winter. Only Du Xiaofu was speechless. What did he mean by, if you're able to kill me, that's your ability? Did Fui Bai think that he didn't have enough enemies? However, Du Xiaofu was even more shocked at this moment. All the signs indicated that Fui Bai wasn't an ordinary person, but Du Xiaofu didn't expect Fui Bai to be so powerful. A legendary Saint Realm expert couldn't even withstand a single blow from him. No one dared to say a word. Such a sloppy old man had trampled on a Saint Dragon and slapped the legalism's divine ancestor effortlessly. It was so shocking that people couldn't breathe for a long time. The dragon's Saint Dragon was drenched in blood and trembling at the side. The legalism's Saint Martial Realm old man crawled out from the ground. He was in an extremely sorry state and didn't dare to say anything else. Fui Bai swept his gaze across the surroundings. His white hair, which resembled a bird's nest, had weeds swaying in the wind. At this moment, he exuded a dignified aura. Subsequently, Fui Bai straightened his clothes. However, his messy white hair, which resembled a bird's nest, still had a few strands of weeds in it, and his tattered clothes couldn't give him a dignified aura. Furthermore, he was holding a few kilograms of dragon meat that was suffused with a multicolored glow. Following that, Fui Bai crossed the void and arrived before the desolate country's lineup. His eyes revealed a smile, and in an instant, he seemed to be a completely different person. "Greetings, Elder Fu." As Fui Bai approached, Du Yunlong, Du Xiaoman, Du Yu, Du Shui, and the rest of the Du family's juniors instinctively bowed. They grew up in the Du family, and everyone was obedient and respectful in front of Fui Bai. At this moment, it was an instinctive reverence. A bunch of brats. Not bad. Fui Bai nodded his head as he looked at the Du family's juniors with admiration in his eyes. Moss. At this moment, Du Tingxian walked out with a similarly shocked expression before bowing respectfully. What Moss? We have no relationship, so don't try to claim kinship. However, Just as Du Tingxian opened his mouth, he was immediately interrupted by Fu Yibai. Fu Yibai ignored Du Tingxian and looked at Du Xiaofu. He squeezed out a smile, but his figure seemed to be about to leave. Fu Yibai, don't forget some things. Du Xiaofu stared straight at Fu Yibai, but he didn't give Fu Yibai any face. Although Du Xiaofu was grateful for Fu Yibai's help, he couldn't give any face to this old man who had deceived several generations of the Du family and even said that he would welcome others to kill him. Most importantly, the stronger Fu Yibai was, the more Du Xiaofu felt that this old man had lied to him back then. He had been in the water and in the fire all these years, but this old man had been hiding far away. Thinking of this, Du Xiaofu became even angrier. Chapter 1770. He. Hearing Du Xiaofu's words, Fu Yibai, who was about to leave, subconsciously touched his shriveled butt. Then, the smile on his old face became even more brilliant. He looked at Du Xiaofu and chuckled. His voice also became much gentler. Big brother, I came at the right time. Big brother. Big brother. At this moment, everyone was dumbfounded. They thought that they had misheard. Such a peerless expert, who could slap a Saint Martial realm expert like a fly, actually called the Demon King, Du Xiaofu, his brother. What was most shocking was that the sloppy old man clearly called the Demon King, Du Xiaofu, his big brother. Everyone was stunned. At this moment, even the old tortoise, Elder Lei, Garuda, the legalism Saint Martial realm expert who was slapped by Fu Yibai, Li Chenfa, Qin Tianshi, Long Tongue, and the others were so shocked that their eyeballs were about to pop out. Oh my God, what's going on? Not far away, Mo Tianxiao, Thunderhawk King, Yiming King, Yunzhan, Gue Che, and the Zither Demon were also stunned. But at this moment, seeing Fu Yibai calling Du Xiaofu big brother, Du Tingxuan's handsome face couldn't help but twitch. You're not too late. Du Xiaofu rolled his eyes at Fu Yibai and said, shouldn't you give me an explanation? Fu Yibai's eyes flickered as he squeezed a smile onto his face. Senior Fu, where's my master? Ouyang Shuang immediately walked out from behind Du Xiaofu. Beneath her clothes was a devilish figure. Coupled with her already beautiful face, she was simply captivating. Ouyang Shuang knew that Fu Yibai had a close relationship with her master. After not seeing her master for so long, she also missed him. That old lunatic is behind. Fu Yibai looked at Ouyang Shuang and suddenly thought of something. His expression immediately changed. Fu Yibai, is your name Fu Yibai? At the same time, a graceful and beautiful figure flashed out. She was graceful, and devastatingly beautiful. Her curved brows seemed to be frowning yet not frowning, causing her to seem indistinct like smoke that was enveloped in mist, and it was breathtaking. Who else could it be but Dai Xingyu? Who are you, little girl? Fu Yibai looked at Dai Xingyu and seemed to have sensed some aura as he asked in surprise. My master said that if I see someone called Fu Yibai, I am to capture him and bring him to her. Master's orders cannot be disobeyed. Please forgive my rudeness. Dai Xingyu spoke, his brows like distant mountains. Sister Xingyu, this person is too strong. Even if we join forces, we are still no match for him. Be careful. Little Qing immediately went behind Dai Xingyu and looked at Fu Yibai nervously and vigilantly. Her clear and bright pupils carried a faint green radiance as she cautiously reminded Dai Xingyu. Looking at Xiaoqing and Dai Xingyu, Fu Yibai was stunned. He then asked Dai Xingyu, who is your master? Xiaoqing subconsciously pulled Dai Xingyu's hand. Her fair and flawless skin had a faint redness, and her thin lips were delicate like rose petals. Her temperament was mysterious and supreme. Coming out of the divine domain, Xiaoqing had already stepped into the beast domain at such a young age. Dai Xingyu's gaze was firm as she looked at Fu Yibai. Her lips were as red as cinnabar and she said, I don't know my master's name, but my sect is Sky Cloud Island. Sky Cloud Island, you are her disciple. Hearing that, Fu Yibai's expression changed drastically like a mouse seeing a cat. He pointed behind Dai Xingyu and said, Little girl, look, isn't that your master? Master is here? Dai Xingyu and Little Qing immediately looked behind them when they heard that. Many people also looked in the direction that Fu Yibai was pointing at, but there was nothing in the void where their gazes landed. Sister Xingyu, that old guy disappeared. Xiaoqing's voice sounded out in surprise. Just as everyone turned around, Fu Yibai's figure had already disappeared without anyone noticing. No wonder Master said he's the most cunning. Don't be fooled by his words. I'm afraid Master will scold me when I return. Dai Xingyu blamed herself. Her master had already instructed her, but she still let Fu Yibai escape. Sister Xingyu, it's actually good that he left. With our strength, I'm afraid we won't be able to capture him. Xiaoqing heaved a sigh of relief. I know, but it's Master's orders, Dai Xingyu said softly. She naturally knew that she wasn't Fu Yibai's match, but she couldn't disobey her master's orders. Senior Fu, you still haven't told me where my master is. Ouyang Shuang stomped her foot. Fu Yibai was simply like a ghost. Fu Yibai, you're still running? Stop right there. But at that moment, before Ouyang Shuang finished speaking, a loud roar came from the direction Fu Yibai came from. Suddenly, a vigorous figure appeared in the air, floating in mid-air. It was an old man with disheveled hair. He was even more sloppy than Fu Yibai, but his eyes were as deep as the sea as he scanned the surroundings, as if he was searching for something. As for Li Qinfa and Qin Tianshi, when they saw the disheveled elder, their faces turned as ugly as when they saw Fu Yibai. The corners of their eyes twitched and they even avoided eye contact, not wanting to be noticed by the sloppy elder. It's him. Du Xiaofu's eyes flickered. He naturally knew this old man. Back then, he seemed to have been chasing after Fu Yibai. Later on, he found out that the old man was Ouyang Shuang's master. When Ouyang Shuang saw the old man, a smile instantly hung on her face. She soared into the sky and immediately arrived before the old man. She happily greeted Master Last Shuang. When the old lunatic saw his disciple that suddenly appeared, he also revealed a smile. He could sense Ouyang Shuang's aura, as if he could see through her with a glance. He then said with satisfaction, Not bad. Greetings, senior. Du Xiaofu went up and bowed. This was Ouyang Shuang's master, and he couldn't be impolite. Furthermore, Du Xiaofu wanted to build a good relationship with an expert who was able to mix with Fu Yibai. Not bad. The old lunatic nodded. Back then, he had seen Du Xiaofu in the void painting and praised him. But soon after, the old lunatic seemed to have thought of Fu Yibai again. He looked around and asked, Where's Fu Yibai? Where did that old man run off to? I'm not done with him. Ouyang Shuang and Du Xiaofu looked at each other. They didn't know what to say, but they also didn't know what to say. In the air, the Saint Martial Realm expert from the School of Vertical and Horizontal's aura was blurry. Ripples flickered in his eyes as he said, Fu Yibai just ran away not long ago. He's trying to kill with a borrowed knife. Hearing the words of the Saint Martial Realm expert from the School of Vertical and Horizontal, the surrounding people weren't stupid. They naturally understood that the School of Vertical and Horizontal wanted to borrow the mysterious old man's hand to deal with the terrifying Fu Yibai. Master, that's the Saint Martial Realm expert from the School of Vertical and Horizontal. In the divine domain, the old man from the School of Vertical and Horizontal attacked me several times. I almost never saw you again, Ouyang Shuang said with a wronged expression. She looked so pitiful that tears almost flowed out. Ouyang Shuang wasn't a fool. The School of Vertical and Horizontal clearly wanted to kill with a borrowed knife. Ouyang Shuang had personally witnessed how terrifying Fu Yibai was. Her master had been chasing after Fu Yibai, so his strength shouldn't be too far off. The shamelessness of the School of Vertical and Horizontal made Ouyang Shuang very unhappy. Looking at the pitiful appearance of his beloved disciple, the old lunatic's expression changed. He turned to look at the Saint Martial Realm expert from the School of Vertical and Horizontal and said, You dare to bully the young and touch my disciple? Is the School of Vertical and Horizontal itching for a beating? His voice was like thunder that shook everyone's eardrums and soul. As the old lunatic's voice fell, his figure flashed like lightning and directly swept towards the Saint Martial Realm expert. Shit! The Saint Martial Realm expert from the School of Vertical and Horizontal originally wanted to kill with a borrowed knife. Never had he imagined that he would bring such huge trouble to himself in the blink of an eye. The latter didn't dare to be careless at all. Countless flames immediately surged out from the blurry space around him, and they transformed into strands of scorching sword chi. Swish, swish, swish. The scorching sword chi was accompanied by an ancient and surging presence. It shattered space and blocked the old lunatic's path. Slash. Under the gazes of everyone present, the old madman completely disregarded the sword light that shattered space into pieces. Everywhere his figure passed, the blazing sword chi that was sufficient to annihilate all peak experts at the Overlord region silently collapsed into nothingness, and then he slapped his hand forward as well. Bang! In the next moment, the Saint Martial Realm expert from the School of Vertical and Horizontal was slapped into the distance, shattering space. Before he could even react, he had already vomited blood and fell into the distance like a broken kite. If you dare to bully my disciple again, I'll destroy the School of Vertical and Horizontal. Light surged in the old lunatic's eyes. As soon as he finished speaking, he tore through the sky and chased after Fu Yibai. Gulp, gulp. This scene caused all living beings to swallow their saliva. Ouyang Shuang revealed a satisfied smile. It was a little exaggerated. The School of Vertical and Horizontal had always been suppressed in the divine domain, so it was rare for them to be able to hold their head high. Ouyang Shuang had only wanted her master to teach the Saint Martial Realm expert a lesson earlier. As expected, her master's cultivation was unfathomable, and he didn't seem to be inferior to Fu Yibai. Du Xiaofu clicked his tongue. How many experts like the old lunatic and Fu Yibai are there in the world? There were also the primordial demon, Eastern Immortal, Southern Ru, Western Yao, Northern Addict, Central Tongshan, and so on. It looked like there were far more secrets in the world than what he wanted to know. Boom, boom, boom. Suddenly, 3 streams of energy shot down from the sky. They seemed to have descended from the 9 heavens, and they directly landed on the Saint Martial Realm expert and the 2 Saint Martial Realm experts that Fu Yibai and the old lunatic had slapped away. A dragon and a human almost vomited blood at the same time. They couldn't resist at all, and their eyes were filled with horror. What's going on? The sudden change caused a commotion in all directions, and all living beings felt their hair stand on end. Du Xiaofu's eyes also trembled. It wasn't Fu Yibai or the old lunatic who had attacked, but a mysterious expert. However, it seemed to be targeting the dragons, legalism, and the School of Vertical and Horizontal. Chapter 1771. If the 9 cauldrons don't gather, the 9 houses won't come out. This is a warning. When the 3 beams of energy descended, a voice rang out. It was the same voice that had been used to repel the evil demon. It came from one of the 5 people, East Immortal, South Ru, West Demon, North Addict, and Central Connection. Shanglong, the 2 Saint Martial experts from the School of Legalism and the School of Vertical and Horizontal stared at the sky in shock. East Immortal, South Ru, West Demon, North Addict, Central Connection. Don't you think you've gone too far? Do you really think we dragons have no one? The dragon Shanglong was already drenched in blood. Fu Yibai had torn off a piece of flesh and scales on his back. It was nothing compared to his enormous body, but it was still particularly glaring. He'd been born as a saint beast and thought he'd be able to shock the world. He'd never imagined that he'd be trampled again and again. One could imagine how he felt right now. Besides, the East Immortal, South Ru, West Demon, North Addict, and Central Connection were warning the 9 houses. It had nothing to do with him, the dragons. However, he'd also been affected and injured. East Immortal, South Ru, West Demon, North Addict, Central Connection. It's not like our 9 houses don't have anyone. The feelings of the Saint Martial expert from the School of Legalism were no less than that of the sacred dragon from the Dragon Clan. It was easy to imagine how a Saint Martial expert would feel after being slapped in the face as soon as he was born. Whoosh! 2 more beams of energy descended from the sky. They seemed to be silent, but they descended in a way that the Saint Martial expert and the Legalism's Saint Martial expert couldn't dodge. They carried with them an ancient aura that seemed to be able to affect time and space. Bang, bang, 2 muffled sounds exploded from their bodies. At the same time, The dragon Shanglong and the legalism's Saint Martial expert both coughed up blood at the same time. They didn't stop. The 9 cauldrons don't gather, and the 9 houses don't come out. All saints of the present age, listen up. The evil demon has awakened, and a great calamity is imminent. The seal on the heavenly devil battlefield is about to be lifted. When the heavenly devil battlefield opens, all saints are forbidden from fighting. Otherwise, they'll be killed without mercy. His calm voice resounded throughout the Qinhuang continent, as well as Kyushu, the Beast region, Wudong Mountain, the Four Seas, and every other corner of the world. The voice was unique. Only World Saint Realm cultivators could hear it clearly. Those who were not strong enough would not be able to hear it clearly. However, this voice also resounded in the ears of Du Xiaofu, Du Xiaoyao, Little Xingxing, Dai Xingyu, and O Yangshuang. Let's go. With that, the haggard holy dragon and the legalism Saint Martial expert immediately flew away. For some reason, they did not stay on the Qianhuang mainland any longer. The bloodline of the school of legalism, come with me. A rune light that distorted the void fell around Du Xiaojing and pulled him into the void. Stop! A thunderous roar came from Du Tingshuan's mouth. He held a long spear that was covered in lightning. His entire body was covered in lightning, as if a divine dragon was born. He waved his spear and thunder rumbled. The armor on his body was covered in lightning and electric arcs. The void suddenly boiled and the sound of the heavens rumbled. The terrifying power made people's hearts palpitate and their souls tremble. The spear pierced towards the distorted void. This was Du Tingshuan's all-out attack. He had always been on guard against legalism. He was afraid that legalism would take his daughter away again. He was the first to notice it and immediately stopped it. Swoosh! Everything happened in the blink of an eye. The spear light landed on the distorted void rune. However, the rune was too strong. It was like a heavenly wall that could not be destroyed. Within the light, Du Xiaojing looked at Du Tingxian. He looked at his brother who was in front of him. He was enveloped by the light and gradually moved further away. His eyes were resolute. Then, his figure instantly appeared in a crack in the void. You still dare to make a move under my nose. The domineering voice penetrated the clouds and cracked the stones. A golden light then shot out from the void and directly swept into the crack in the void. Bang! Bang! The crack in the void suddenly made a muffled sound like thunder. The surrounding runes exploded, causing the sky to tremble. Humph! A muffled sound came from the void. At the same time that the space exploded, a mist of blood spurted out. Then, everything disappeared. I was one step too slow. This old legalism bastard escaped quite quickly. The golden-winged rock that was entrenched in the void cursed. He seemed to be a little depressed. Then, as if he suddenly felt something, he looked above the void and said, I didn't make a move. I just blocked it. The sky was calm, and there seemed to be no movement. Xiaojing! Du Tingxian stood with his spear. His back was straight. Electric arcs fluctuated around him. His hair danced behind him, and his brows were tightly knitted. Today is different from the past. We will go and get mother and sister out eventually. Du Xiaofu came to Du Tingshuan's side. At this moment, the azure spirit armor and golden rock wings on his body were withdrawn. His face was pale. He wanted to stop them, but he was a step too late. He was afraid that he could not stop them. Retreat! Retreat quickly! Seeing that the divine ancestor was trampled and fled, Long Ting, Gong Sunhua, Li Chunfa, Qin Tianshi, and the others were shocked. Then, they did not dare to stay any longer. They led the people of various clans and left quickly. Retreat! Retreat quickly! Whoosh! Whoosh! The 3 clans came quickly and retreated quickly. They disappeared in an instant, retreating in a sorry state. Du Xiaofu and Du Tingxian narrowed their eyes. At this moment, after the chaos caused by Fu Yibai, the mysterious East deity, Nanru, and the other 4, they did not have the intention to chase after them. Everything that had happened today seemed to hide many secrets of the current world. They needed to digest them properly. Old Tortoise, you're not dead yet. The great calamity is coming. Do you want to go and have a good chat? Old Bird, you're not dead either. Come to my place and sit. Okay. The The gigantic tortoise and the golden-winged great roc, whose black light and golden light filled the air, spoke up. Then, they turned into two old figures and left at the same time without showing themselves. It's time to plan. After waiting for so long, I don't mind waiting a few more days. I hope your mother and Xiaojing are fine, Du Tingxian said. The armor and lightning spear on his body were withdrawn. With my sister's talent and my mother's legalism, they won't be in any danger, Du Xiaofu said. Congratulations, little guy. Your cultivation has improved greatly. Little guy, if you have time, come visit my school of Yinyang. The void around them fluctuated. Old monster Xinghun, Icy Ink, Old Man Di Pai, and the other experts came forward. They did not treat Du Xiaofu lightly. From the beginning, these three great clans had a good relationship with Du Xiaofu. Therefore, they were very casual. Thank you, seniors, for your protection and care. Du Xiaofu bowed in a manner that was neither servile nor overbearing. This made old monster Xinghun and the others secretly praise him. Du Xiaofu was also grateful to these three great clans. Regardless of whether it was because of Du Xiaoqing, Du Xiaoyao, Sima Muhan, or Qi Yeshi, these three great clans had helped him many times. Du Xiaofu had always been a vengeful person. However, he would also repay the kindness of a drop of water with a gushing spring. He would remember the kindness of these three great clans in his heart. You're too polite. It's true that the new generation excels the old. We're old. Old monster Xinghun laughed. However, there was some awkwardness behind his smile. How could he not know that with the strength Du Xiaofu had displayed earlier, it would not be long before he could only look up to Du Xiaofu? However, the young man before him had only cultivated for less than 30 years. On the other hand, he had cultivated for thousands of years. It was simply infuriating to compare oneself to others. Haha, it's true that the new generation excels the old. Old Man Di Pai smiled apologetically. His thoughts were different from old monster Xinghun's. Behind his smile, there was a deep shock. Thank you for protecting my son. Du Tingxian would like to thank everyone. Du Tingxian stepped forward and bowed to old monster Xinghun and the other experts. You're too polite. Facing Du Tingxian, who was also a terrifying existence, Icy Ink, old monster Xinghun, Old Man Di Pai, and the others could only be secretly shocked. The Demon King and his son were too terrifying. After that, the experts from the Taoist and Confucian schools came forward. They also said some polite words to Du Xiaofu. It could be considered that they were trying to rope him in. Du Xiaofu was also very polite. In the divine domain, the people from the Taoist and Confucian schools were also secretly helping him. In particular, they had a good relationship with Kong Sansi. However, the people from the Confucian schools had already left. Among the crowd, the two mysterious figures covered in cloaks and hats also left quietly. Ba, the divine domain has already closed. We'll take our leave first. An old monk from the Buddhist school spoke. The figures planned to leave, which could be considered as a greeting to the crowd. Among the Buddhist school disciples, Juling looked at Du Xiaofu from afar and nodded. The 9 scars on his head flickered. After that, he left with the other Buddhist school disciples. In the distant void, there was a tall figure. Around him, there was a faint, baleful aura. This figure gazed into the distance. At that moment, many experts surrounded Du Xiaofu. His eyes opened and closed. They seemed to contain 2 seas of blood. Then, the figure disappeared. Jialo Kaling helped the old lady to Du Xiaofu's side. She said to Du Xiaofu, Xiaofu, I'm going back to the clan to heal. Be careful. If you have time, come back to the clan. Grandma has something to discuss with you. After I've settled everything, I'll go back to the clan to see Grandma and Grandpa, Du Xiaofu said to the old lady. He also bid farewell to the elders. Good. With your strength, you can already protect yourselves. I'm relieved. However, you still have to be wary of the devil religion and legalism. The old lady then left with the golden-winged great rocks. Rock Emperor, we're going back to the beast region. If you need anything, just say the word. The 9-headed Phoenix clan behind the Ghost Chariot, the Tiger clan behind the Phantom Tiger King, and a few other experts also bid farewell to Du Xiaofu and left. Whoosh whoosh. After several months, the Chunhuang continent, where the top experts had gathered, finally began to disperse. However, during these few months, everyone knew that the current situation had undergone earth-shattering changes. The desolate nation, which had risen to prominence, had now become one of the strongest powers in the world. With the Demon King, Du Xiaofu, Du Tingxian, Du Xiaoyao, the Violet Dragon Emperor, Yi Piaoling, Du Yunlong, Dai Xingyu, Ouyang Shuang, and other top experts, it wouldn't be long before the desolate nation became even more dazzling. Chapter 1772. Little Xingxing, do you want to go back to Wudong Mountain with me? Zixin came to little Xingxing's side. Her graceful figure was elegant and seductive. She was different from Su Muxin. Little Xingxing hesitated for a moment. He looked at Du Xiaofu, then pulled Zixuan's hand and said seriously, Godmother, I want to be with Father for a period of time. I want to help Father with some things. All right. Zixin nodded and looked at Du Xiaofu. She looked at Ouyang Shuang, Su Muxin, Qi Yeshi, and the others beside Du Xiaofu. Her eyes flickered. When the time comes, I'll bring little Xingxing to Wudong Mountain to find you. Du Xiaofu said to Zixin. He thought of the little ant queen. He needed to go to the Phoenix clan to fully recover, and might even evolve into an ant phoenix. Anyway, I have to go to the Phoenix clan. I'll go with Father. Little Xingxing smiled and looked at the purple flame demonic phoenix. Godmother, why don't you stay with us for a while? We can go to Wudong Mountain together. Zixin looked at Du Xiaofu and then stroked little Xingxing's hair. I need to go to Wudong Mountain first. All right then. Little Xingxing was a little disappointed. Whoosh whoosh, after a while, the Phoenix clan also left. There were not many people left in the void. Qi Yeshi, Sima Muhan, and the others came out of the Divine Dominion and also needed to return to the Yin-Yang School and Mo School. They also bid farewell to Du Xiaofu with reluctance in their eyes. Before they left, Old Monster Xing Hun, Bing Mo, Elder Di Pai, and the others invited Du Xiaofu to visit their clans again. Phew, when only the Desolate Country, Ancient Heaven Sect, Stygian Sect, Mysterious Talisman School, and Haohuan School were left in the void, Du Xiaofu took a deep breath and looked at the void. It's been so long. Let's go home. Time seemed to have frozen on the vast plain, and it revealed a ghastly silence. Looking from afar, there was a huge circle in the vast plain. The arc in the middle was divided into two, forming the two extremes of yin and yang. It was faintly discernible, but no one could see it. The floating palace was surrounded by misty clouds. It suddenly appeared like a miracle. Legalism. I'm afraid the school of vertical and horizontal won't let this matter rest. The dragons are also getting restless. The demons are recovering faster than expected. It seems like the problem is more serious than we thought. A figure appeared outside the palace. It was a youth who appeared to be only 12 or 13 years old. However, there was no immaturity on his face. Instead, it was filled with vicissitudes and wisdom. In particular, the young man's eyes, which were as deep as a black hole, seemed to be able to see through space and see past and present lives. Legalism. The school of vertical and horizontal appears to be dealing with that kid, but in reality, they are testing us. From the beginning until now, they have never been truly obedient. The dragons have always been restless. However, with the Azure Dragon bloodline suppressing them, they are still afraid. The other families also have their own ideas. Some of them are sincerely loyal to the strongest, but there are also some who are acting according to the situation. A middle-aged man stood outside the palace with his hands behind his back. His plain robes could not conceal his ethereal temperament. His eyes silently looked down at the vast and boundless plain below, as if he was thinking about something important. He then looked at the middle-aged man in plain robes and said, "That's why you purposely prevented the saints from making a move. I've secretly observed for a while. With Du Xiaofu's personality, there are many things that he doesn't know. However, I'm afraid that he won't let go of the legalism, the school of vertical and horizontal, and the dragons. This is equivalent to allowing Du Xiaofu to cause trouble. At that time, I'm afraid that some people won't be able to keep calm anymore. This time, their losses are already great enough. Some people have to be warned. Although the dragon god and the strongest have left, They have to fulfill their promises. In this world, there are still people watching them. The young man in plain robes said, once the demons completely recover, this world will be unstoppable. The dragon god and the strongest will not appear again. The young man said worriedly, there have been many changes. Perhaps it won't be as pessimistic as we thought. The middle-aged man in plain robes raised his head. A rare smile appeared on his face. The young man looked at the middle-aged man in plain robes. His eyes moved slightly as he said, are you talking about that kid Du Xiaofu? He is indeed extraordinary. However, the dragon god and the strongest couldn't kill those demons back then. Now that the 8 divine thunder cauldrons have fallen into the hands of the demons, I'm afraid that the chances are not high. Moreover, that kid is still very weak now. He needs a long time to grow. I believe that the sovereign and the dragon god have made arrangements. The middle-aged man said. His expression was calm and subtle. He stood there quietly, as if he was the ruler of this world. He quietly merged with the space on the ground. After a while, the young man's eyes were filled with vicissitudes as he spoke again. The devil religion can be considered to have officially appeared. From the aura, that demon has recovered a lot. Those demon envoys and demon emperors probably won't have any scruples anymore. The great calamity has arrived. The seal on the heavenly devil battlefield is getting weaker and weaker. The devil religion is also waiting. They must enter the heavenly devil battlefield, or they will never be able to fully recover. The middle-aged man in plain robes looked at the vast square below and said slowly, I hope there is still time for that kid and those few changes to grow. Otherwise, I'm afraid that this world will really become a demon domain. The devil religion has been searching for spiritual thunder. I think that it has something to do with that thunder sovereign. The young man looked at the middle-aged man in plain robes and asked, back then, there was only one thunder sovereign. The middle-aged man in plain robes also revealed a look of surprise as he muttered softly, I hope that this world can survive this calamity. The young man's eyes rippled as he muttered softly. The divine domain disappeared, but the world was no longer calm. Kyushu and the beast region were all in an uproar. Sage realm experts made a move, demons appeared, and the divine lightning cauldron fought. When these news spread, it shocked the world and spread like a storm. Did anyone obtain the greatest opportunity in the divine domain? What is the greatest opportunity in the divine domain? Some people were discussing and guessing. They didn't know who obtained the legendary greatest opportunity in the divine domain, but they didn't know if anyone had obtained it. The desolate country is no longer the same as before. Just the Nirvana Supremes alone have a lot of them. The demon king Du Xiaofu is rumored to have reached half-step Nirvana rebirth. He has the divine lightning cauldron. How powerful is he? It's said that the demon king Du Xiaofu killed legalism, dragons, and all the supreme geniuses from the school of vertical and horizontal. I heard that even the experts of legalism, dragons, and school of vertical and horizontal were all killed by Du Xiaofu when they entered the divine domain. They suffered heavy losses. With such a loss, I'm afraid that the luck of the 3 clans has already been affected. From now on, it will plummet. The discussions in the world were like a storm, accompanied by an invisible tense atmosphere, as if a storm would descend at any moment. Desolate country, Stone City. The Rock Emperor is back. Third Master is back. It was bustling with noise and excitement. Stone City was boiling with activity as the Imperial City was crowded with people. Third brother, you're finally back. It's great that you're back. In the main hall of the Du family, Du Jinwu and Du Zhisheng looked at the handsome middle-aged man in front of them. Although they looked calm, anyone could feel that the two of them were trembling with excitement. I've made big brother and second brother worry. The Du family has also made big brother and second brother worry. Du Tingxian was apologetic. Among the 3 brothers, he had always been the one who worried the Du family the most. All these years, the Du family had been taken care of by big brother and second brother. We're brothers. Moreover, without you and Xiaofu wandering outside, the Du family would not be where it is now. Du Zhisheng said, Third brother, you have a good son. Du Zhisheng smiled. Today, the desolate country's disciples had returned from the divine domain. His third brother had also returned home. Naturally, There was nothing happier than today. Chapter 1773. After Du Xiaofu returned to the Stone City, he immediately went into the ancient barren space to heal himself. In the battle with Emo Sha, although he had suppressed Emo Sha, he had used up quite a bit of his energy. Just the consumption of the Cyan spirit armor was enough. With the protection of the Azure spirit armor, the immortal Shin body, and the great success divine body of the golden-winged rock clan, Du Xiaofu's defense was like adding wings to a tiger. However, Moksha's strength was extraordinary, causing Du Xiaofu to suffer a lot of injuries. Walala! Golden light rippled and mysterious runes flickered. Du Xiaofu did not consume any elixirs or spiritual medicine. His injuries did not require the help of elixirs or spiritual medicine. At this moment, he was at the half-step rebirth nirvana realm and could not progress any further. Du Xiaofu's Xin Qi was already full, and his primordial spirit was also full. Consuming elixirs or spiritual medicine to heal himself would waste a lot of benefits. There were other people in the ancient barren space. At this moment, the mysterious king dragon, Littling Ying, Qiuli, and the others were comprehending the pair of true dragon horns that Du Xiaofu had obtained. This time, the barren country's paragons who had entered the divine dominion space had obtained many benefits and treasures. They also took out some treasures that they did not need and gave them to the other barren country disciples. Xiaojing, is the greatest opportunity really with you? In the ancient hall of legalism, a group of elders were shocked and their gazes fell on Du Xiaojing. The old honorable lord of legalism, the current honorable lord, Li Chunfa, Qin Tianshi, and the others were also among them. Qila, in Du Xiaojing's hand, palm-sized pieces of ancient white jade flew out. They shone brightly and rained down light in the hall. Finally, a blurry figure was revealed. Whoosh whoosh, these blurry figures held long swords and streaks of sword radiance flew out. They looked ordinary, but upon closer inspection, they were profound and complicated. Ah! In the hall, an elder screamed. The streaks of sword radiance made people feel as if they were struck by lightning. Even with their cultivation, they could not withstand it. Those with insufficient talent and cultivation will not be able to see it. At the head of the hall, the legalism's sacred ancestor had just returned from the Qianhuang continent in a horrible state. His face was pale as he stared at the streaks of light shooting out from the illusionary figures. They were sword techniques that could shock the world. Child, can you let me take a look at this item? The divine ancestor of legalism looked at the sword radiance sword scripture art's deep eyes. I'm a member of the school of legalism. Naturally, I can let the sacred ancestor study this sword art. Du Xiaojing looked, divine ancestor said divine ancestor of heavenly divine, heavenly saint ancestor said. Yes, the divine ancestor nodded. His eyes rippled as he said, you belong to the school of legalism, and so does your mother. Stay in the school of legalism. Our school of legalism's orthodoxy is firm and indestructible. Your talent is peerless, and we will allow you to sweep through the present and surpass the ancient times. With that, the divine ancestor took the sword radiance with excitement and left a message in the hall. I will go into seclusion again. Before I come out, legalism will not appear in the world. Farewell, divine ancestor. In the hall, everyone bowed and sent the divine ancestor off. Du Xiaojing's hair fell to his waist. His eyes were as clear as the stars, but there was a hint of fluctuation in the depths of his eyes. After a few days in the ancient desolate space, Du Xiaofu walked out. His injuries were healed, and his face was ruddy. Legalism and school of vertical and horizontal must pay the price. After a while, Du Xiaofu sat in the main hall of the Du family with a cold glint in his eyes. There were not many people in the main hall of the Du family. There were only the core members of the Du family, Little Xingxing, Du Xiaoyao, Du Xiaoqing, Ouyang Shuang, Zhen Qingchun, Elder Lei, Heavenly Wolfemo Tianxiao, Yi Piaoling, Mieming Wang, Thunderhawk King, and Yi Wuming. There are saints among those big families. It's hard to cross unless we can take that step. Du Tingxian sat upright, his handsome face slightly solemn. The saint realm was like a huge mountain that stretched across their eyes. It seems that Dongxian and Nanru said that saints are not allowed to fight before the heavenly devil battlefield opens, little Xingxing said and looked at Du Tingxian in confusion. When did they say that? Du Tingxian was confused. He had never heard of it. We haven't heard of it either? Yi Piaoling, Yi Wuming, and Mo Tianxiao, and Du Yunlong shook their heads in confusion. They had never heard of it either. I heard it. I have something to say. Dai Xingyu and Ouyang Shuang said. They were sure. Hearing this, everyone in the main hall was confused. They were all in the Chen Huang mainland. Why did some people hear it and some not? From the looks of it, not everyone can hear it. However, I'm sure that those Saint Realm cultivators can't act as they wish at this moment. After a while, everyone said after a discussion, if that's the case, we don't have to be afraid of those saints for the time being. Du Xiaofu narrowed his eyes. He had also heard those words that day. There are saints in legalism. I'm afraid they won't let your mother and Xiaojing out now. We don't have much of a chance now. Du Tingxian was a little disappointed. He had thought that his family could be reunited after coming out of the Divine Dominion. However, in the face of a colossus like legalism with a Saint Realm expert was still an unshakable mountain even though legalism had been hurt time and time again. Not necessarily. We have to do something. Otherwise, legalism will really think that we can't do anything to them. Du Xiaofu spoke, the corners of his mouth curling up in a cold smile. The most important thing is to get your mother and Xiaojing out, Du Tingxian said. Of course. I've already thought of something. At least, we can't let legalism have it easy. Du Xiaofu smiled faintly. Could it be? Du Tingxian looked at Du Xiaofu and seemed to have thought of something. His sharp eyes suddenly surged with coldness. In Kyushu, uproot all the converted forces of legalism in the school of vertical and horizontal, Du Xiaofu said. This was the plan he had in mind for the past few days. Eliminating all the converted forces of legalism in the school of vertical and horizontal in Kyushu would be enough to hurt legalism in the school of vertical and horizontal again. I'm afraid we'll have to ask Elder Lei to supervise this operation, Du Tingxian said to Elder Lei. There won't be a problem for those below the Saint Realm. Elder Lei nodded. This operation will be called Operation Thunderbolt. Du Xiaofu's eyes were faintly golden, and his killing intent was undisguised. The mountain peak was layered and messy, but it was majestic and strange. At this moment, Du Xiaofu appeared on this mountain peak. He remembered that this was the place where his drunkard father had told him everything. The inky blue sky seemed to have been washed by clear water. It was fresh and clean, gentle and solemn. It was also very similar to the weather of that day. However, at this moment, Du Xiaofu felt different when he appeared on this mountain again. He was no longer as sad, bitter, angry, and emotional as before. Time passes quickly. Du Tingxian took a sip of wine and handed the flagon to Du Xiaofu. He looked beyond the mountain range. It was vast and boundless, and there was another taller mountain. It's not that fast. Du Xiaofu took the flagon and took small sips. It still tasted the same. Your mother will be very happy to have a son like you. Du Tingxian turned around and looked gently at Du Xiaofu. I hope that it won't be long before our family can be reunited. Du Xiaofu took a big gulp of wine this time, and there was some emotion in his eyes. It will. At least it's getting closer. Du Tingxian said, they were very, very strong in the past, but now they are only very strong. I said that I would overturn them. A gentleman's words cannot be taken back. Du Xiaofu smiled slightly, but his fists were clenched tightly. In his mind, he recalled his mother's heart-wrenching cries and struggles. What flowed out were tears of blood. Your father is very useless. He has to rely on his son to pick up his woman and daughter. Du Tingxian took the flagon that Du Xiaofu held tightly and took small sips. If you say that, I will feel a little embarrassed. Du Xiaofu smiled. Du Tingxian glanced sideways and rolled his eyes at Du Xiaofu. Afterward, the father and son sat on a rock, their windbreakers fluttering in the wind. They drank wine and talked about some irrelevant things, including their experiences over the years. From Du Tingxuan's words, Du Xiaofu learned that Jinlei Tensei's inheritance had indeed fallen into the hands of his drunkard father. Du Xiaofu felt that his drunkard father made it sound easy to obtain Jinlei Tensei's inheritance, but it was likely that in order to obtain the inheritance, he would have to go through an astonishing trial. How could Jinlei Tinsei's inheritance be so easy to obtain? After obtaining Jinlei Tinsei's inheritance, his cultivation had risen to the sealed domain realm, so it was difficult for him to make much progress in the god domain. Therefore, outside the god domain, he had destroyed his cultivation and started cultivating again. Du Xiaofu was a little speechless at his perseverance. His drunkard father's ferocity was extraordinary. As for Elder Lei, he had been Jinlei Tinsei's mount and had been able to survive until now because he had sealed himself. The 8 lightning figures that had been following him were actually 8 puppets left behind by Jinlei Tinsei. Their strength was around the domain realm, but if they joined forces and formed a formation, they could fight against a domain realm cultivator.